This is gonna be vociferous, man.
Literally half a second before I was going to say tick-tock, time to rock.
This is going to be very vociferous.
You have to distract with your messed up Turkish use of English.
Oh, we're live? Okay. Sorry. I thought we were practicing.
No, we were going live. I was about to spit hot fire, and you ruined it, as usual. Hey, so you heard of this Candace Owens chick? What?
Yeah.
This issue isn't just about Candace or someone, but she's become associated with it. I'm saying that because I'm looking at the chat right now. Candace seems like a normal person. I know she's not. Jordan Peterson literally works for the Mossad. See?
You should have titled this live stream "Jordan Peterson destroys Candace Owens over Christ."
Oh yeah, yeah, I know.
Do it right now. Change it right now.
No, I'm going to leave it because we're going to let the people decide. We're going to let the people decide who humiliated who. Hey,
David. Yes, what's up?
So you heard of this Christ is King controversy?
Oh yes, I have.
The Jews are trying to tell us we can't say Christ is King.
Right, that's what they do. That's exactly what they're trying to do, apparently.
That's what they do. Look, it already started. AP is the new ortho bro. All right, guys. So, hey, you want to give everyone a crash course since you're becoming a Christian? So, you're on the path of becoming a Christian. And so you are now an expert on all things Christian, as you can see from everyone asking you questions about your views.
Naturally.
What's going on with this Christ is King controversy?
Well, where shall we begin? So, the Christ is King controversy. Well, where shall we start? So, here's the thing. So there is a phrase that was adopted at some point by some people called Christ is King. Uh-huh. And last year or so, I think, or the year before, I think, it became first used by some people who didn't really begin using it as devout Christians because they love Christ so much and because they feel so devout as Christians to Christ. They rather started using it as kind of a provocative political rallying phrase, even often used by people who are not even proper Christians or who are not even Christians. So it was very much pushed by the gropers. And then at some point, Candace Owens jumped in and also started using that phrase, Christ is King. And it's like, and it's actually a perfect trolling or perfect phrase to
it's perfect
to manipulate people and rally people against Jews, because it goes into the whole fallacy that we talked about in the past, which is kind of the Martin Bailey fallacy. It's like they say Christ is King to Jews to attack them. They say, "Oh, you Jew, Christ is King." And then when people see this pattern of these people using Christ as King, they say, "Hey, you need to stop using that phrase to attack people." Then they turn on and say, "You see, they're trying to ban us from saying Christ is King because they are against Christ." So they're basically doing that, and thereby tricking the masses and also misusing and disrespectfully abusing the name of Christ and Christian sentiments. And Candace Owens, most likely knowing that this is the trick behind it, jumped into the whole discussion and actually used the phrase against Ben Shapiro.
She says she didn't. She said she didn't. AP. We're gonna check that video clip and we'll take a look at the tweets. Actually goes back a little before, but when you're bringing it up now, and you said like a year ago or whatever, that's when I started noticing it. But apparently it goes back to some earlier political functions where Nick Fuentes showed up with a group at some MAGA rally or something like this and started yelling, "Christ is King, Christ is King, Christ is King," to see who would, to see how people would react to it and so on. And so, anyway, it became associated with the Groypers because they started showing up to political events, shouting "Christ is King" and so on. And then they started using it online as like their rallying call. And then they started attaching it to all sorts of other things they would want to say about Jews. Like, "Hey, you Jew, blah, 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 Christ is King." And someone would say, "Hey, what's going on here?" And they say, you see, they're telling us not to say Christ is King. And then a bunch of people bought into this and like, "What? The Jews are telling us we can't say Christ is King." So a bunch of people who have nothing to do with the Groypers started saying, "What? The Jews are saying that we can't say Christ is King. The Jews have declared war on Christianity." And here we are. And then you had people taking sides, people taking advantage of the situation. And then you've got us sitting here somewhat amused. And we'll go through it and try to get to the bottom of this. But really, guys, the real takeaway is you need to pay attention to things like this because as everyone becomes more polarized and so on, one, you have entire groups that are ready to go to war with a different group over anything that happens, right? And then you have, this is what Jordan Peterson would point out, you have the dark tetrad of people with the dark tetrad of personality disorders. So your psychopaths, your narcissists, your Machiavellians, your sadists, and so on. They see when there are things that they can use to cause division or something like this, or to split people up or to get people enraged and stuff like that. They pay attention to this. And so these are the kind of people who will see the situation, "Oh, there's something brewing with this Christ is King stuff," and figure out a way to use it against people they don't like or anything else. So that's what's going on in the world right now. And we're going to go ahead and go through some of this, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go through some of this. So this could be a mistake here. This could be a mistake. I mean, it could be a tactical error because the Christ is King stuff it seemed to peak at certain times and then dies down at certain times and so on. It had seemed to die down, and then a report with Jordan Peterson involved came out, and a little video came out with it. Did you see this little video?
No.
Okay, we're going to check out this video, ladies and gentlemen.
I did not see the video.
Okay, so a video came, I only saw it pop up yesterday. I don't know if it was published before that, but this is the video that popped up that I saw yesterday. It may have been like a day earlier or something like that, but it's pretty new. It's the last day or two. And then Candace responded to this video, and then Jordan Peterson responded to Candace, and so on. So let's go ahead and check this out.
Since the advent of Christianity, Christ is King has been a cry for connection to the divine, a declaration of faith, a moving signal between Christians of their shared values. But what happens when it becomes a manipulation tactic designed to deceive Christians? Mentions of Christ as King have increased fivefold.
You're muted. You're muted,
Hey,
man.
don't tell me what I'm doing. A manipulation tactic designed to manipulate Christians. Interesting.
On platforms like X in just the past 4 years. At first glance, it would seem
What did he say?
hopeful as mentions of Christ as King have increased fivefold on Christians. Mentions of Christ as King have increased fivefold on platforms like X in just the past 4 years.
Well, that's good, right?
At first glance, it would seem hopeful as people begin to reinvestigate faith in the face of increasing secularization and chaos in the world. But the NCRI, an organization at the forefront of monitoring deep trends in data, observed a striking and nefarious development around the phrase Christ is King beginning in 2021.
But there's a bunch of Jews in that organization. That is the, I don't know if you've seen it, but that's the people flipping out. They looked at the people listed in the study, and there were several Jews. And they say, how could these Jews be involved in this study about anti-Semitism? Funny thing.
In 2024, more than 50% of all engagements around Christ is King posts were driven by extremist influencers. The word extremist gets used a lot, and many are understandably skeptical at its use. But we're talking about people like this.
I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money.
Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover. Then they would find bodies, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. Blood.
Is this when she's talking about Jews killing all the kids and stuff? And then I think that's the
Frankist.
yeah. And then that's the same clip. That's the same clip where she was saying that anytime you mention Jews, you have to say, I don't want to die, or Israel or something like that. I have to say, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. It's the only group that if you mention them, you have to point out that you don't want to die. And yeah, meanwhile, she talks about Jews like 24 hours a day for the past 2 years. But she doesn't want to die.
So they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money.
Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover. Then they would find bodies, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. Blood libel.
Real Africans, on average, have an IQ of 65.
Posts like these achieved over 13.6 million views and more than 100,000 engagements during Easter 2024 alone.
So, guys, yeah, that's when I started seeing it, and that's when, I mean, think about this. You had Andrew Tate, Sneeko, Nick Fuentes, and they're all blasting away. And two of these guys aren't a Christian in any sense. And then Nick, pretty darn, like I can't look into his soul and tell what he actually believes, but he seems like an evil scumbag who uses Catholicism for his racism and political agenda and so on. Bigly. But I mean, think about this. If you have Muslims out there, yes, Christ is king, right when the groypers are using it. I mean, come on. Are you seriously taking this as a proclamation of devout faith in Jesus when guys like this are the ones using it?
I also have to say this. So the whole phrase, if you actually go back looking at the phrase, it's not a phrase that appears in the Bible. It's not a phrase that appears in Christian history very much. It is a phrase that developed quite late on, based on the idea that Jesus is king, or that Christ is king. But the phrase itself, as a phrase, very much just got popularized over the last 20 years, and especially in the last over the last year. This whole controversy became very, very big, but over the last 10 years or so, I think in the 2010s or so, this came to be picked up by these people, by the white nationalists, by the Nazi gangs, just as a kind of as a phrase to provoke people. And these people are usually not people who are very, very religious, who are very devout, who have much. There are studies like IP has some really good stuff on that, showing how these Christian nationalist, white nationalist types of that sort, of the Nick Fuentes sort, are usually people who are not very believing, very observant, church visiting, or anything like that. They use Christianity more as an identity, more as a cultural thing. That's it.
And the people who really started using this as their main mantra are the groypers. We'll go ahead and see. Nick Fuentes admits that. He says, hey, yeah, this is we're the group that started using this as a political tool. He's going to say it. We're going to watch a video. We're also going to look. We're also going to look at the report that this video is referencing, and they give a little history. Apparently, in the early 20th century, I think around 1920 or something like that, the Catholic Church adopted that, but it was used as a response to various nationalist movements that were arising. And they're saying, hey, you guys, just keep in mind that your leader, ultimately Christ is king. Christ is king. And then, so that's why the Catholic Church started using it. And now you've got Nick Fuentes in the name of Catholicism saying, we're using it for our Christian white racist nationalism. They're like, wait a minute, that's the opposite of what it was meant for. Anyway, interesting, fun stuff. Let's go ahead and finish this video here.
while co-opting the phrase for their toxic narrative. Figures like Candace Owens and Jake Shields repeat hateful blood libels. And shockingly, by 2024, the most frequently associated term with Christ as King was the word Jew.
Okay, got that, guys? So that's actually important, and that's part of what the study is about. But the idea is, if you're looking at the online data and so on, how people are using Christ as King, well, for most of its history, even online, it's just used, hey, Christ is King. Christians are saying Christ is King in various contexts and so on. As of 2024, the most closely associated thing with it is Jew. In other words, if you're looking up tweets saying Christ is King, and you've got some sort of AI searching for references to Christ as King, the most commonly associated thing with it is Jew, which means the person is also posting something about Jews in the same tweet. So he's saying blah 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 blah, Jew, Christ is King. And so that's the issue. It's been co-opted for a different purpose, namely by people like the Groypers.
I'm looking right now at Google Trends for the phrase Christ is King. It's actually very funny. Those who like to look up word or phrase trends, just go on Google Trends and enter in parentheses Christ is King. You will see it very, very easily. The peak trend of the phrase is over the last, so since 2004, between 2004 and 2010, it is basically non-existent. It occasionally appears here and there. 2014, it becomes slightly used. The peak is March 2024. Second peak after that is October 2024. And right now is the third most popular time. This is obviously not just an expression of religious beliefs. It's a political thing that is being abused and adopted for specific purposes.
Smartly, may I add, it's evil. It's evil the way it's being used, but smart. And guys, this is I pointed out. So if you're just watching this for the first time, I've pointed out before. This was used in the same way that the slogan Black Lives Matter was used. See, it's the same thing. You take a slogan, Black Lives Matter, and who adopted that as their slogan? Well, not just people who are saying, hey, Black Lives Matter. It was adopted by a Marxist group. They're a group of radical Marxists. And they adopt that as their slogan. And you could go on their website back in the day and look at the things they were advocating. And it's some really, really messed up, sick, evil stuff. But if you said at any point, hey, I have a problem with, say what? Problem with what? Black Lives Matter? This person says Black lives don't matter. This person has a problem with black people, you see. This person doesn't think that Black Lives Matter are at all valuable, you see. What did they do? They took a Marxist agenda, put a slogan on the front of it, and then anytime someone responds to them, they say, you see, this person is against Black Lives Matter. Well, what do you have with the Groypers? They have the same thing. They have a political agenda where if they were to tell you what their political agenda is, a white nationalist Catholic nation, the vast majority of people would be against it. So what do you do? Well, come up with a slogan, Christ is King. And then anytime someone says they have a problem with you turning America into a racist, a racist political Catholic nation, anytime someone objects to that, you say, you see, they have a problem with Christ being King. All we say is Christ is King. And that's why, yeah, AP is right. This is in the realm of the Mott and Bailey fallacy. The Mott and Bailey fallacy is, again, where you have all these ideas and so on that you're supposed to be defending. And then when someone criticizes your stupid and difficult to defend ideas, you retreat to this little tower and say, hey, I'm just saying this. So Black Lives Matter, they have all these political ideas and stuff. And then when you respond to them, they go, hey, we're just saying Black Lives Matter. Well, that's not what you're saying. That's not what you're really after. And the same thing with the Groypers. Here's all the stuff we want. And here's what we want to do in the world. And you attack them on it, and they go, hey, we're just saying Christ is king, man. We're just saying Christ is king.
Are you against Christ now? What?
Yeah, you see, the Jews have infiltrated you. All right, let's finish this video.
The intent is clear. Manipulate well-meaning, faithful Christians into having their beliefs tethered to psychopaths. This is nothing short of diabolical. We're caught watching Christ is King being taken by the supremacist right more and more each day. These connections matter. The spiritual, the linguistic, the interpersonal. They shape us, they shape our society, and they shape the world. So what kind of connections do we want to build? And more importantly, what kind of world will we help create? Help retake our values.
All right, so that was the video that set off the discussion yesterday, and I say it could have been a tactical error because I don't know. This is just I'm only paying attention to what like pops up in my feed and stuff, and I hadn't seen a bunch of the Groyper stuff in a while. Whereas now, as of yesterday, I saw it everywhere, and it was coming up everywhere because that video had popped out. So the resurgence of the debate came about as far as that video. So I don't know if they should have just let it die as an issue for the Groypers or something like that, or if it was wise to jump on it again. But whatever the case may be, it did spring up again. And then Candace reacted to it because she's named in that 2024 Anti-Semite of the Year, Candace Owens. I said that because someone else, whatever you do, don't say Candace is an anti-Semite. What do you mean? She's the best one in the world last year.
Yes.
Okay. Let's take this first batch of super chats here, and then we'll jump into what are we going to do first? We're gonna we'll probably check out. We'll check out we'll check out Nick Fuentes. We'll check out a clip from Nick Fuentes first, where he says, "Yep, this is absolutely a Groyper thing that we started." And then we'll check out Candace's video saying she never tweeted this at a Jew. And then we'll check out what her tweets actually said. And then we'll check out how things are going right now on Twitter. We'll get some responses from Jordan Peterson and so on. And we'll also at some point take a look at that study. It's long. I think it's 21 pages or something like that. We're obviously not going to read it all, but we'll read a couple pages of it for the major findings of the study. A study with some Jews involved in it. Let's see. Yay, the Mossad supporters meeting is commencing. Yes, it is.
Powerful.
Here. God Logic says you guys have to rip some Quran pages out of the Quran or you don't like God Logic anymore. You guys are goated. What do you mean? This?
I don't have a Quran here, but yeah.
You don't need it. I'm just saying, like, I'm literally surrounded by Quran bits here. AP probably had to clean things up because of I got a new computer, I have to clean up like a nerd. Hey, that's very rude. Very rude. Anyway, guys, we didn't want to do that. If you don't like that, blame Bruce here. He caused us. Normally, guys, we only do that when someone's crossing a line. In other words, someone crosses a line, resorts to some evil tactics, we respond like that. But this guy put our friendship with God Logic on the line. So if you're reading this, hit a Our Father, but y'all don't have to, though. God bless. What do you mean, the prayer? Our Father who art in heaven?
Yeah.
Owens is clearly working for Mossad. She is discrediting the Gaper movement with her moronic takes. I'm on to you. Jews can't pull a Talmud over my eyes. It's John the Presbyter. You can't fool John the Presbyter, Candace.
John the Presbyter got you.
John the Presbyter. Again, there are people who are new. They don't even know what that's about. But this was Ali Dawa was talking about. And they've got all these other Johns, and they don't even know who wrote this. They don't know if it's John the Apostle or John the Presbyter or John the son of Zebedee. It's all the same John, and he's too dumb, and he's calling him John the Presbyter. Oh, you gotta love the Dawa guys, man. No, they are awesome and funny, Shabbat Shalom, you beautiful Christian pair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. On my Twitter, Lily J before and after Ramadan. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look it up. I am interested in... When you say before and after Ramadan, because I made a bunch of those. I made a bunch of those tweets where I take, normally people post their weight loss photos and so on. I reverse them and I say it's Ramadan. Let's see, jingoistic pig. Let's see,
Jingoistic pig.
jingoistic pig. Jingo. Hang on, I gotta pull it up. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up. Let's see. Just 1 second, guys. 1 second. Jingoistic pig. I'm guessing this is I'm guessing this is some powerful. So here we have Jingoistic Pig saying Lily J before and after Ramadan. That's actually how it works, guys. People, this isn't just making fun of Ramadan. There are studies after studies. There are reports for years of doctors and so on and researchers saying, please, guys, please change what we do for Ramadan. It is leading to all sorts of massive health problems, diabetes, all kinds of things. This is extremely, extremely bad the way we're going about these things. And yeah, weight gain is one of the, ironically, weight gain is one of the leading features of the month of fasting. Because guys, if you're not familiar with this, they gorge themselves multiple times per day. It's like having, from an American perspective, it's like having 2 Thanksgiving meals a day. Keep in mind, to be fair, not all Muslims do this. A lot of them, that's actually how they do it. They stuff themselves in the morning, and then they sit around sleeping all day or just chilling and so on, and then they gorge themselves at night, and it's just not healthy. So stop it. Stop doing it. Guys, a little cash, but much love. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Can't watch this stream now. Family movie night. Family movie night. But I want to throw money at you guys.
Oh, thank you, Christian Garth.
It's a good idea, good idea.
Christian Garth.
Balaam's talking donkey is far smarter than groipists. He's got the reference to the passage. 1 Corinthians 12:3. Therefore, I make known to you that no one speaking in the Spirit of God says Jesus is accursed, and no one can say Jesus is Lord except in the Holy Spirit.
Powerful.
Love you guys. I'm glad someone does, because there are people who really don't like us for some reason. I will never stop declaring it. Ezra is king. And then we have the backseat DS3. Christ is king. You see. Hey, you know what's interesting? Because you do have there are, and this is kind of the issue. There are like just sincere, normal Christians who they see one of the tweets saying people are trying to stop us from saying Christ is king, and they're like, "What? You can't tell us not to say Christ is king. Christ is king." So you have like all these well-meaning people who aren't saying it for any nefarious purpose. I have to say, usually when someone is saying something in response to someone else's tweet, you will never stop us saying Christ is king, Christ is king. And I click on it. I've done it probably I did it probably 5 times yesterday, right? When I was looking, because I was following the discussion, figuring out what we're going to talk about. But about 5 times or so, I clicked on one of the accounts saying, you can't stop us from saying Christ is king, Christ is king. And I click on it. And every single time I clicked on it yesterday, it was a Groiper account.
Yeah.
In other words, you go on there and it's all Jews, 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 Jews. It's like, so it looks like you guys are still the main ones running around going, they're trying to stop us. They're trying to stop us. And it's like people who are deliberately, in other words, most of the people who are trying to stoke things were not the ordinary sincere Christians who are kind of getting duped by it. It was like Groipers who are deliberately using it to cause a ruckus.
Deliberately. I don't know if you've seen this exchange between Jack Posobiec and the guy who led this recent report, Reverend Johnny Moore. I I should probably send that to you because it's very, very funny and it's very relevant to the topic. Where Jack Posobiec, who is just
yes, Reverend Johnny Moore is listed on the study.
Yeah, this jerk was like, "Since you're answering questions, I have another one. Is Christ king?" And the Reverend said, "King of kings and Lord of lords." And then Jack Posobiec is like, "Will you even say Christ is king?" Like, so
which is funny because the Reverend, if I say he's King of Kings, am I saying Christ is king? Yes. It's one of those is actually the biblical, like the biblical.
Yes. But it's not about whether you actually believe or whether you actually affirm that Christ is king. It's just about saying the phrase because it's
saying the phrase so that then they can say, "You see."
I sent the link to you. You should check your email and maybe we should put that on the screen because it's a very, very perfect example to just show what that.
Why don't you send it to me in a Twitter DM since I have Twitter open and I don't have email open? How about that? Ever think of that? Would that be too simple and convenient for you?
Yes.
Turkish guy?
Yes.
Right. I'm married to a nice Jewish doctor who will perform Candace's lobotomy free. Well, we are not here to judge Candace until we have heard her out, and we will listen to what she has to say, examine her tweets, and then decide.
I'm pretty sure she has a very good explanation to things.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is king of the ring.
You see?
Candace is a disgrace to all things holy. As a Catholic, I pray for her, but is she really this much of a soft target, or is she grifting? I vote grifting. I would say she has all the marks of a grifter. I don't think Muhammad was a real prophet, actually. Really? That's weird.
That's pretty weird.
In fact, the more I learn about this Muhammad guy, that's a Norm McDonald thing.
Yeah, I just sent you the tweet, man.
Okay. Christian anarchists were using Christ as king politically years before Nick Fuentes became a cancerous mole on the rear of politics and Christianity. Interesting. AP, I'm so happy that you have put your trust in Christ. I pray the Lord blesses you and keeps you. Mr. Wood, thank you for your work as well in advancing the kingdom of God. God bless y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. The issue seems to be the complete disconnect on their part of Second Temple and modern rabbinic Judaism. They believe in replacement theology. We should get a couple people who can break down the various theological perspectives on this issue over like the history of it and stuff.
The funny thing is that replacement theology is not necessarily a horrible thing, and it's not necessarily an anti-Semitic thing at all. It is.
That's true.
It is a traditional Christian perspective, to believe that basically that until a certain point, Jews or Israel or people of Israel simply refer to a closed circle of the actual seed of Abraham, those people, that group. But then that with the coming of Jesus, with the coming of the Messiah, this then changes from descent to only or also include those who give their faith. And there are lots of instances in the Gospels and in the New Testament where this is actually quite clear. Some instances where, for example, very funny, Matthew 15:26, I believe, right, where Jesus says the famous phrase of when a woman comes and asks for healing, and she's a Canaanite woman. He actually says to her, "It is not right to take the food of the children and give it to the dog." So, where the children are basically the Jews and the dog would be the Gentile woman, the Canaanite woman. Maybe Groper should talk about that sometime.
Well, so, I have to say it's actually interesting because then he heals the woman's child and then he goes on and performs a miracle for the Gentiles.
But that's the point. Exactly. That's the point. There, then she begs, and he says, "You have faith," and then and then actually does the healing. And this is an indication of how things are turning around, where the Jews were seen as the children, whereas the Gentile was basically seen as the dog, or the lesser one who is lower in rank. But because she has so much faith, she now receives the favor that was only exclusive to the Jews. So many of these references and of these things just lead to the eventual idea and conclusion in the New Testament that when in the future Israel is referenced, it basically refers to those who believe, the body of believers, the church itself. And the thing is, this is not necessarily a bad thing. This doesn't mean Jews evil, Jews bad, or anything like that. You can just stay on that and believe that, and still, for example, hold on to the idea that according to Paul in Romans, God loves the Jews for their forefathers, and eventually they will all be reconciled. You could believe in an eventual reconciliation of the Jews and the Christians. But there are some people who unfortunately take this whole issue of replacement and supersession way too far and start turning it into a reason to hate Jews and to humiliate Jews and to dehumanize Jews. And that is where the problem begins.
Yeah, and that's actually connected to the issues we were talking about yesterday with Zionism and so on. You can believe that Jews have a divine right to the land. There are obviously Jews who believe that. There are Jews who don't believe that. There are Jews who are atheists and so on. There are Christians who believe that. There are Christians who don't believe that. But the issue is, even if you're not thinking about that at all, you're not saying any sort of divine right to the land, you could just be thinking in terms of like human rights and so on. And, Jews are human beings. Human beings have certain rights. There are people who want to destroy them. Obviously, they can defend themselves and so on. But as soon as you adopt that position, they say, other people criticize you and say, you're saying this. You're saying that Jews have a divine right to the land, and you've adopted this from the Schofield Bible, and blah, 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 blah. And so, guys, you have a variety of perspectives here. AP's point there is you can have a certain theological view. That theological view may be fine, may even be the correct biblical position. But if you twist that into, therefore we would destroy all the Jews, okay, that's got nothing to do with the position. Or Jews deserve to get destroyed by Muslims because what? Let's see. I'm thinking he was a child grapist. Oh, this is a response to, this is a guy who was doing Norm Macdonald. The more he learns about Muhammad, the more he doesn't like him. Let's see. Call me narrow-minded, but I'm against child grape. That's a guy who watches some Norm Macdonald. Been seeing left meme of Steve Jobs. Dad is Syrian, therefore anyone who criticizes Islam hates Jobs. But if Steve was adopted, were bio parents haram?
Yes.
Yes. Indeed. Let's see. What is this? David, the best way to get into the UK is to fly to France, get on a banana boat, and go across the English Channel, and this way you get your food and 4-star hotel paid for by the taxpayer. Yes, I've heard that. I've heard that many times, that I went about it all wrong trying to go to the UK. I should have done it this way. I live next to a cemetery. On the graves is IHS. Looks like I can't tell what that sign is. When I Googled it, Jesus hominem salvator, Jesus savior of mankind, and in my opinion only a Jewish guy could turn water into wine.
Yeah, it's IHS is actually it's funny because I think initially it was meant to simply be the Latin transliteration, or to look similar to the first letters of Jesus in Greek, of the sound E-E-E-S. But then it also began to be understood as Jesus hominem salvator, which also makes sense. Jesus, savior of mankind. I recently found that out.
You don't know anything. Come on,
Dude,
you're not even a full Christian yet, according to your church, and you're trying to educate us. See? We have Stephen McLovin. Jesus is Ethiopian. Denying him as king is racist. I was in a discussion with a was this guy Nation of Islam, or I'm not sure he was Nation of Islam. He was a racist offshoot of Islam, and I'm not sure whether it was Nation of Islam or one of the others, because there are a couple. But we're standing there. We're in our dorm in prison, and he like I noticed every discussion with these guys would come down to, and what color was Jesus, right? And anyway, he turns around. He does that. We're having a discussion. That's the thing. They would put it in the discussion no matter what the discussion was. So we're talking about something. He goes, so tell me, what color was Jesus? And I go, look, from the scriptures, I know two things. One, Jesus was a Jew. Two, he was green. And if you can't see that, my friend, there is no point in talking to you. And then he starts going, he's green. He's green. Where are you getting that from? And it's like, okay, he didn't get it. It's like, guy, dude, I think this is a really dumb discussion to turn everything into. Let's see. Arctic Based here says, I can tell that Dr. Wood is part Norwegian, feisty yet aloof, no messing around. Oh, really? Did you hear that from your king? Tovia Singer, Arctic Based. That's his. He's being nice now because we're going against the Groypers. But the moment we say Christ is king, Arctic Base will be ready to sick Tovia Singer on us. It's like a reverse straw man built to be attacked. Yeah, it is. It's and guys, you have no idea what's happening right now. This is going to happen more and more and more and more and more. And on every issue where you have multiple sides, something is going to be tossed into the middle of them, and one side is going to react, and then the other side automatically has to adopt the opposite position and go to war over it, and so on. I mean, just look at and it'll be things that there shouldn't be a ton of controversy. I'll just give you an example, just as something that recently just happened. Andrew Tate flies from Romania to the United States. What happens? A big war between like conservative channels and so on. They all start blasting each other over this. What? You guys are arguing about a trafficker and whether you should be supporting a trafficker? And you say, no, we shouldn't be supporting a trafficker and promoting his stuff. They say, well, really, you're against free speech. See, they're against freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Get used to this, guys. It's going to get way, way worse. Every single day, there's going to be some new issue tossed into the middle. One side is going to react to it, and then the other side is going to have to take the opposite reaction, and they'll be ready to go to war over it. It's just what everyone's being programmed for right now. Okay, this is the Norm McDonald. No, really, I really hate child grape. So I guess that means, according to what you guys are telling me, I hate Muhammad. Yeah, that's what we're telling you. I'm surprised it's letting you post the R word in Super Chats, because lots of people aren't able to do it. Candace, more like, can this woman leave? Did you get that joke?
Mm-hmm.
Candace, more like, can this woman leave? It's messed up.
Yeah.
Could you talk to Sam Shamoon about him saying, look what the Jews think about Zionist Christians, you see? He made a community post about 2 weeks ago. No, not interested in dealing with that at all. Have y'all seen that Japanese corn star Kei Asakura converted to Islam, seeking mutta, finding Islam? Am I right? No, have not seen that, but
I have personally never been interested in any of those people converting to anything. So
we got Swiss Apologetics here. D. Wood, by the sea, in trouble he stood. A sea urchin pierced his tender foot. Pain shot up. He cried in despair. A good old friend was needed there.
You see?
Keeps going. Apostate prophet heard the yell, knew his friend was not so well. Quick of thought, he took his stance, ready for a healing chance.
Powerful. Very powerful.
With a grin came brave AP, healed the sting with golden P. The Dizzler sighed, relief so sweet, friendship won, the foe's defeat.
Powerful, powerful.
Then a loud noise came from a tree. It's hijab eating grapes with S2J and Ali shouting loud with Dawa power. You see, golden shower. I think I messed up the meter of that one, but smiles to Jenna and Ali shouting loud with Dawa power. You see, golden shower. Was that AI or did you come up with that, Swiss Apologetics?
Probably. He probably came up with that by AI.
Oh, yeah? That's what AP does. He comes up with all this stuff, and he's like, you see how brilliant I am, of the greatest songwriter since John Lennon. And it's all just AI. Happy Purim. Thank you. God bless you both, and may the work you do bring many out of the darkness into the light. Christ is King. So this is either a well-meaning Christian or a groper. You seem to have found partners without effort. Any words for single loners? What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're talking about like I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if you're saying, hey guys, you have wives. What do you do if you're single and you're asking us how to get a girl? Or if you're saying, hey, you guys work together, so you guys have partners in your work. Any idea what to do if I'm just by myself? I don't know what you mean. But in either one of those situations, follow Andrew Tate, take his PhD course, and it will help you either way. One,
I thought you said take his pee.
Yeah. If you learn Andrew Tate's method, you can get all the babes you want, and you can learn how to manipulate people into following you.
Babes.
And so you'll have everything you need.
Babes.
David, liar, liar, my 3X elastic pants don't fit after my Ramadan fast. I ate so much, I Dawood in my pants. I Dawood in my pants. That'd be funny if we start using Dawa like that. Crap, I Dawood in my pants. Ezra is king of all the scribes. The Jews would know. There is no compulsion to hail Ezra, the king of the Jews, and the Garka trees. You see? This is a valid point. It's a valid point. Which parts of Revelation do you think are playing out right now? Also, have either of you seen the movie The Prince of Egypt? No, I haven't. And as far as parts of Revelation playing out, I've never become interested beyond, we win. And the reason there is throughout Christian history, you've always had people, this is what this means right here. And the end does not come. And so anyway, I let other people deal with that.
Have we seen The Prince of Isn't that a cartoon?
I think it was a Disney cartoon.
I didn't see it when I was a child because I never liked Disney cartoons. I haven't seen it now. I don't think I'll ever see it, to be honest. So
I'm trying to think of which. I think I watched The Lion King at some point, so I saw that one. Other than that, I'm not. And then I saw probably a couple when I was a little kid, but I don't remember them.
The funny thing is, with The Lion King, there was a time when my father's older brother has like 50,000 kids.
Nice.
Or to be specific, I think like 7 kids or something like that. And they had like this habit of watching these Disney movies all the time. And we would get together and they would turn on a Disney movie and turn on The Lion King. I would be like, this is so boring, man. Like as a child, I would find it incredibly boring and couldn't sit through watching it. So I never watched it until several years ago as an adult. I turned it on for one of my kids and actually sat there and watched the whole thing. So it's the first time that I actually watched the entire movie. And I thought, it's not that bad. So...
Very strong and based. Very strong and based.
You see?
Let's see. Thanks to you guys, I can't say or hear certain words like, you see, the proof will humiliate. Again, thank you for all your insight. That's what we do.
Nice.
Why do so many so-called conservatives defend the Tater Tot brothers?
I would say that there are different reasons, different underlying reasons, which this can be attributed to. One of those underlying reasons could be that these so-called conservatives are rather ignorant on what the Tate brothers did, what they say, who they are, what they represent, and so on. They might get their knowledge about the potatoes from simply what other people say. Unfortunately, lots of people just don't want to really look up the things that they hear. All they hear is just, oh, so these guys are being abused by the law, and just because they say lots of things that liberals don't like to hear. Oh, looks like they're good people and all that. Then there are others who hear some of the things but don't really know enough about it, so they think, yeah, okay, I don't agree with everything they say, but they haven't really done anything bad. Then there are some who just don't have proper values and who actually defend what Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate did because they themselves are not good people. But I would say a lot of people actually do it because they're ignorant, and they just need to be informed more. And they are human traffickers, and at least Andrew Tate is a rapist, probably Tristan Tate too. So, it's not good.
Yeah, and guys, this is exactly what I was saying, and it's what Jordan Peterson is saying. A psychopath or a narcissist, keep in mind that's Tristan and Andrew Tate right there. One's a narcissist, the other's a psychopath. These kinds of guys, you become good at reading a crowd, reading a room, reading a person, and so on, and then using the situation to your advantage. It's exactly just what I was saying. So you've got all this division forming. Andrew Tate shows up right in the middle of things. And then when someone says, hey, this guy is a freaking trafficker, why is the United States helping him and so on, come and do a U.S. tour? What's going on here? And then Andrew Tate, you see, I'm being attacked by the Matrix for my defense of freedom of speech and freedom of expression and for my powerful stance of conservative values. And then people, what? Oh my goodness, he's being attacked for his defense of. You see, these are the same people who attack our hero Donald Trump. And then everyone starts blasting away at each other. So again, everyone is being programmed for division, and there are certain personality types, people with certain personality disorders, who thrive in those situations and use it to their advantage every time. And so that's the concern. You guys get programmed you get programmed for division, and you've basically created the perfect growing grounds for some really sick, evil people to take advantage of the situation.
This is why I can't be very charitable toward Candace Owens, because she knows by now the things that Andrew Tate did, the things that are known about him. If she doesn't, then she's really incredibly, surprisingly, horribly stupid or incompetent, which I don't want to assume at this point anymore.
It's basically we're in the same. You and I are in the same boat. Like, we think she's dumb in certain ways, but you can't possibly be that dumb, and therefore she must know, and yet she's rolling with him and covering it up anyway and helping him lie about it.
Which would mean that she is engaged in some real evil stuff.
Evil stuff. Let's see. Pair character. Oh, that's super sticker. Thank you, Momo Joe. We need to get back to this stuff here. The King of Jordan is king. The King of England is king. The Lord Jesus Christ is King of kings, Lord of lords, God of gods, and the conquering Lion of Judah. Get it right. Can't dance, Owens. If Chewbacca lived on Endor, would he be king? That does not make sense. And if that doesn't make sense, how can Christ as king make any sense either? Nice shelf, Mike Winger. Well, Chewbacca would be the tallest thing there, and so it would make sense for him to be king. Love you guys. My son Elijah and I love to watch you. Helped him a lot to refute the pro-Islam class. AP, we are so happy we have you for the kingdom.
Thank you.
Everyone has heard of Karl Marx, but it was his brother Skid that really left a stain on the family name. That's funny. Funny part about all this is the Catholic Church went out of their way to save and protect Jews during World War II. Pope Pius XI. Spiritually, we are Semites. Is that true?
The Catholic Church, this is actually, lots of people don't know. And those who should know best actually do know this. The Holocaust remembrance centers, the Holocaust museums, and so on, they do know this. Lots of people are under this false impression, which at some point started, I think it was actually started by Soviet propaganda, that that the Catholic Church had collaborated with the Nazis in massacring the Jews is not true. The Catholic Church wasn't quick enough to prevent things, and was probably very careful in condemning things. And even when they knew that people are being mistreated, I think they didn't publicly do enough, possibly also because they were fearing for their Catholic representatives inside Germany, because lots of Catholic priests and all were detained and imprisoned. But the Catholic Church, instructed by the Pope, did a lot to save Jews, to issue fake baptismal certificates, to say that this guy's a Christian, he's one of us, just to save Jews. That they did lots to help Jews escape and so on. Both the Catholic Church and lots of Orthodox Christian figures and authorities did a lot to save Jews. Unfortunately, anyway, not all Christians did the same thing, but there are quite a few very well-known figures in both the Catholic and Orthodox Church who are now respected as saints for their actions during the Holocaust, and are also honored by the Holocaust Museum, for example. That is true. So for those people who pretend to be Christians in the name of these churches, and who then go out and deny the Holocaust or talk trash about Jews, it's they don't really know what they're doing.
It's kind of cringe, isn't it?
Yeah. Very cringe.
If shirk is unforgivable, how can a polytheist ever repent and become Muslim? Islam is nonsense. Whoever invented it didn't think it through. To be fair, to be accurate. Now, the reason you'd point out, shirk is unforgivable, is you have all these Quran verses saying that Allah can forgive anything else except shirk. He won't forgive that. But you do have all these passages where Allah forgives shirk. So the Muslim way of reconciling that is, if you die and you have not repented and become, there's two basic ways. If you die and you have not repented of your shirk, Allah's not going to forgive you. He could forgive you of other things. You could be a mass murderer or something like that. He might say, I'm going to let this guy slide. You don't know with Allah, because he's not the God of consistency or anything. So that's one way. They're saying, okay, it's if you haven't repented of it. The other thing is, if you knowingly commit shirk. In other words, if you're like a Muslim and you commit shirk. If you're a pagan, it's okay. You don't know any better. You're stupid. If you're Muslim and you commit shirk, then you do it knowingly, then Allah's not going to forgive that. So if you do it while you know, then it's unforgivable. If you did it in a state of ignorance or something like that, you could be forgiven. Anyway, so this is all based on the Quran sort of has inconsistent passages, some saying that shirk is unforgivable, other times giving examples of people turning away from polytheism and so on. So, yeah. Go make anti-Semites of all nations. Candace 3:16. Powerful verse. Tips on losing my family after leaving Islam. 25 years old. AP, you think about that for a second while I give Jesus advice. The advice of Jesus on losing your family after leaving Islam. This person is 25 years old. I'm going to quote you Mark chapter 10. Peter began to say to him, "See, we have left everything and followed you." Jesus said, "Truly I say to you, there is no one who has left house or brothers or sisters or mother or father or children or lands for my sake and for the gospel, who will not receive 100-fold now in this time houses and brothers and sisters and mothers and children and lands with persecutions, and in the age to come eternal life." So I don't know if you actually became a Christian or just left Islam. If you became a Christian after leaving Islam, then the message of Jesus would be, hey, you may have just lost your family. You have a bigger family now. You have a big, giant family that is way bigger than the family you lost. If you're just talking about, hey, you lost your family and you're an atheist, that would be kind of a different situation. But AP would kind of be an expert on that because that's what he did.
I'm not an expert.
You are an expert.
I would say that what I did was basically to just deal with it. That's what I did.
Yep, it can happen different. Like Nabil, the relationship was seriously strained, but Nabil still had a relationship with his parents. So I would say SMKK, and we don't know what part of the world you're in or exactly what your situation is or how radical your family is and so on. Depending on the situation, I would, from your end, try to maintain a relationship with your family. And if they decide to sever all ties, and that's kind of on them. And yep, you just have to make the best of it. And life can be rough sometimes. I saw Alina Haba today saying, "I never said I like Tate. I did my research. Her brain is made of runny dawad. Some people, kids. Yeah, we talked about that on AP's stream yesterday. Her acting like, oh, I was just saying this. That is not what you were saying. And I said what she should have actually said. Guys, I didn't know all the details about this. I thought I actually bought into some of the stuff where he's just being attacked because of his defense of young people and so on. I bought into it and I was wrong. I screwed up. Now that I know more, I reject what I said. And I would have been totally fine with that. But I wasn't saying that. Yeah, you were, lady. Yeah, you were. You looked like you were ready to ask him to become one of his cam girls. That's what it looked like.
The first encounter she had with him on camera was literally, "Hi, I'm a huge fan.
Look at my cleavage.
Great fan, big fan, big fan."
And we have your back. The United States has your back. And it's shortly after that he actually gets out of Romania and comes to the U.S. Come on. Yep. Prince of Egypt is DreamWorks, not Disney. 100% based. So yeah, in your face, AP. You just got destroyed and humiliated. Arctic Base said, Dr. Wood looks so suave tonight, so amiable, so erudite. Singalings waiting in the wingalings. This is the no singaling, no wingaling zone, everyone. All right, let's go ahead and...
The wingalings of the world unite.
Wingalings of the world unite! We're going to take a look at the Nick Fuentes clip right after we check out this this tweet that AP demanded we take a look at.
Mr. Juan, you're talking a bunch of extreme conspiracy nonsense. I mean, you said earlier that the Vatican has a praise of Hitler and said research it. Whenever somebody says research it, it's usually...
Yeah, they mean, I saw this on Twitter from... Yeah.
Like I saw a graph with like text crammed together and 50,000 screenshots on it, and I share usually 4 of those at once in one tweet.
That's what I do.
None of that is true. Please stop spamming nonsense.
Yeah, stop embarrassing yourself. I don't even know who AP's talking to, but I just roll with AP. So this is the one you were appealing to. I went back and scrolled back to the beginning so we get the context. Jack Poso, do you have any clue who that is? He must be popular.
I mute very few people on Twitter, and this is one of the people that I muted a long time ago because I was so annoyed by seeing him every time. But it's more just about the one tweet that I sent you actually, because it highlights a very, very important.
Yeah, we're going to look at that. Yes, okay. We're going to check this out. So Jack Poso, amazing that the attack on Christ as King comes right as the Easter season begins. Not really hiding it, are they? You see that, everyone? The Jews. It's when he says they. When he says not really hiding it, are they? Who's he talking about? It's the Jews. The Jews are using the Christ as King issue to disrupt Easter. You see? Yeah. The Jews really like upsetting a bunch of Christians and getting Christians to flip out on Jews right before Easter. Seth Dillon says, the attack is not on the phrase or the truth of the phrase, but on the abuse of the... Seth has a way of words here. The attack is not on the phrase or the truth of the phrase, but on the abuse of the phrase by bad actors. And by bad actors, I mean you, Mr. Soho, or whatever his name is. Do you not find abuse of the Lord's name objectionable? And this guy shared his own statement, Seth Dillon. No, there's nothing wrong with the phrase Christ is King. I proclaim it with humility and reverence. There is something seriously wrong, however, with the way some have been abusing it. And he posts his own thing here. The argument is not that Christ isn't king or that we shouldn't say Christ is king. It's that not everyone is saying Christ is king in good faith. There's plenty of evidence of that. Yeah. And there are good reasons for Christians to find it objectionable. When a non-Christian gets angry and curses by exclaiming, Jesus Christ, they've taken the Lord's name in vain. Christians find that objectionable, and they find it objectionable because God himself prohibits it and says it offends him. Your argument is like saying, I don't care if people take the Lord's name in vain and say Jesus Christ as a curse. At least his name is being said, no matter who says it or what they mean by it. If someone says Christ is king with the wrong heart and intent to attack or provoke a Jewish person, for example, they are coupling abuse of the Lord's name with disrespect for another person made in his image. I don't see why any Christians wouldn't find that objectionable. Appreciate you engaging the critics. We need more of this dialogue. And then Jack Poso says, I'm not playing this game. Wait, what? I'm not playing this game. It's like, what? He actually offered a careful, thoughtful defense of his own
So you
position
don't
on
want
this.
actual real discussions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, notice when Seth actually said, hey, this is good. Let's have this discussion. Let me explain my perspective. And Jack Poso, I'm not playing this game. I'm not playing. I'm trying to attack Jews and you're ruining it. Seth Dillon says, Jesus' name is not a weapon to wield in hate. That's the game we're refusing to play. Yeah, man, try that on somebody else. He sounds like an idiot.
And then boom.
Seth says, what game is this? Because you've got Jack Poso here saying, Jack Poser saying, I'm not playing these stupid games. You're trying to get me into a silly game. And then Seth burns him up with his own words. So from not long ago, 10 hours before this, Jack Poso says, since you're answering questions, and he's responding, as AP pointed out, he's responding to Johnny Moore, Reverend Johnny Moore, who was part of the research team that did the study that just came out on this issue. Jack Poso says, since you're answering questions, I have another one. Is Christ king? And Reverend Johnny Moore responds, King of Kings and Lord of Lords.
How
And
much
Jack
better
Poso,
can it get?
will you even say Christ is king? Yeah, what is Jack Poso doing? He's playing a game. He's saying, you have to say this thing that the Groypers say, and you have to say it exactly like the Groypers. You can't choose other words that say something more profound. You have to use the political phrase that we're using to cause division.
This is a perfect demonstration, as said, to these people. It is not about whether you believe in Jesus. It is not about whether you believe Jesus is Lord and Jesus is King. To them, it is simply about a phrase for political purposes. And the bad thing about this is that they are actually pretending to respect Christ here, but they are simply using his name for political signaling and for virtue signaling and for hate. They're basically just disrespectfully abusing and misusing the name of Christ because they don't love Christ. They just want to use him for themselves.
And you can even see it in that. It becomes a tool, right? This issue becomes a tool. How can I gain control over someone? Or if they refuse to be controlled, how can I use it to attack them? And you're using what for that purpose? Your claim that Christ is king. That's what you're using that for. So are you, when you say that, are you proclaiming Christ is king? No. If your concern was whether people acknowledge Christ as king, then him saying Christ is king and King of Kings and Lord of Lords would have been fine for you. Said, oh, okay, he actually does acknowledge and he confesses and says it publicly that Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But no, you have to say this phrase. You have to say this phrase. Why? Because if you say it, then we know we can get you to say things that we're telling you to say. And if you don't say it, we say, you see, he doesn't believe in Christ. He doesn't believe Christ is king. When he literally just said, Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That's what we're dealing with the Groypers. And what's amazing is you still have tons of people, what? Oh my goodness, these guys are right. People are telling us we can't say Christ is king. Oh boy. We do have from SMKK. SMKK, so that was the person who just said, hey, what happens if I lose my family and so on. And I said, we don't know your background and so on. But she pointed out, I'm Polish and female. So female, that can make things a bit rougher as far as family relations and so on. But being Polish, that would seem to help. Because that means you're probably not in like Pakistan or something like that, I'm guessing. And
I don't understand. Polish? I don't get it.
Yeah, Polish and left Islam. That's interesting. Not a ton of, but anyway, the point is you're probably in an environment where like your safety is probably not at risk in the way it would be in certain other places in the world. So that's a good thing. And then SMKK says, Catholic Church across the street. Yep, I would suggest going to church. And as I pointed out, the words of Jesus, the message of Jesus, because keep in mind, the situation you're in right now, as much as it sucks, was the same situation that the earliest converts would have been in, right? An early convert to Christianity who decides to convert to Christianity. If you're from a Jewish background, well, your family might say, hey, we don't agree with this, so we're not going to get along after this. And the message, Jesus' message was, hey, if you have to give up your family or something like that, you have a much bigger family right now. You have the church and you have the global community of Christians, and so you'd actually be in a similar situation that. And there've always been people in that situation who want to become Christians and have various kinds of family reactions and so on. But yeah, that's been going. This is a fairly common family reaction over the centuries, and point is, Jesus understood it, and Jesus says, "You've got another family now." So I would take that seriously.
Take that.
And now let's go ahead and check out a video from our good friend Nick Fuentes, where he points out the recent origin of how this phrase has been used, how this slogan has been used.
But I will say that I was one of the first people in a political context on the right wing to start saying Christ is king. That was kind of the Groypers thing for a while. Now, Republican politicians and conservatives would talk about God a lot, and they would talk about Judeo-Christianity. We were the first really explicitly Catholic, really intense, far-right group to say, Christ is king. And what's interesting about that phrase is, unlike one nation under God, not everybody can and not everybody will say it. And it's interesting. When you go to some kind of conservative, Republican, liberal, Democratic event, and they say one nation under God, everybody can put their hand over their heart and say that. And when they say, may God protect our troops, everybody can say that. But if you go to a political rally and everyone's chanting, Christ is king, if you look around the room, you may notice not everybody is saying the chant.
Because that's the point. That's the entire point. It's not about actually, honoring God. It's not about acknowledging God. It's just about it's about exclusivity. That's what it is.
Yeah. So he's correct insofar as the more specific you become, the more group specific you become, the fewer people are going to be able to agree with you. It's just like if you said, the Catholic Church is the only church, because that's what he believes is the true church. If you went in there, guess what? You'd have even fewer people agreeing with you than if you said Christ is king. So what's that mean? Should that be your rallying cry? Mm-hmm. And you really had it. He just pointed out, this is our litmus test for deciding whether you are on our side. And he acknowledges this is a Groyper thing. He said it. He said, this is a Groyper thing. We started this. We started going to these things and saying Christ is king to see who's going to agree with us. Well, here's the thing. You just admitted you made it a Groyper thing. So if you're saying, hey, we're going to see who agrees with us that Christ is king, who's going to cheer this with us? You're like, who's going to cheer with the Groypers? Who's going to shout this with the Groypers? I don't want to shout anything with the Groypers. I don't want to be on the same side as the Groypers and say, you see, this is a person controlled by the Jews. Wait, I don't want to be part of your group. So if you are adopting a slogan and then saying, join with you in shouting this slogan, I don't want to be part of it.
You see, David is against Christ. That's what he's saying.
So, I mean, think about that. He's sitting here telling you, we're the ones who started this. No, we didn't invent Christ as king. We're the ones who started using this for a political agenda. He's acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And then if you say, wait a minute, I don't want you using that as part of your political agenda. You see? Weird stuff. All right. Let's
You see, they don't like Christ.
Shout out to Linda Rainier for gifting 10 Apologetics Roadshow memberships.
Super based.
10 people. 10 people were blessed.
10 people.
10 people are now super based.
Not everybody can. And by nature, it is exclusionary. Because unlike a vague appeal to God, not everybody can say it. That's because not everybody believes it. And saying it is a way to quickly identify who's really with us, who actually has a faith that is strong and alive.
Did you see what he just said? He said two things. He says, saying it, meaning a bunch of groypers show up and say, Christ is king, Christ is king, Christ is king, Christ is king. Who's with us? Who's with us? Join us now. Christ is king, Christ is king. You're trying to have a political event. Christ is king, Christ is king. Who say it? Say it with us, groypers. And he just said, now we have a way of identifying who's with us. But then he said, who has faith? Notice he said it. He just said it. It's two components. Having faith in Christ and being being aligned with them. He just said it. He just acknowledged it. It's a way to determine who's with us, who's on our side, and who has the true faith. Okay, you just admitted it's about being with you, and that's the problem, Nick. There are some people who they'd be fine with saying it as a statement of faith. They don't want to be on your side or be part of your group. And then they're like, oh, I don't want to say it. Because why? Because these guys are interpreting it as meaning we're on their side. And I don't want I don't want other people to think I'm on the same side with these losers. And two, I don't want these losers to think I'm on the same side as these losers. I don't want them to think I'm part of them. So no, I'm not, you don't just show up and say this, and I'm going to jump on board and say it. Not going to happen. Idiot. But he acknowledged it.
Ain't gonna happen. He also the funny thing is when he says then we will see who has faith, who is strong, who has faith, who means it. When he says who has faith, I'm not sure what exactly he means. I'm not sure if he means faith in God or faith in Christ, because I don't think that these people are actually very faithful people. I don't think that they are knowledgeable people. I don't think that they are good examples for a believing person who is sincere.
But the people?
You can frequently see these groypers turn up and say just horrible things to people that completely goes against anything biblical. Just earlier today, I saw Gad Saad made a post in which he posted a photo of himself wrapping the tefillin, in a synagogue, and you have lots of groypers in the comments attacking him, including some well-liked comments. I want to go and look at that again, but some well-liked comments like, "What is that you're wrapping on your arm? Is that something for devil worship and all that?"
That's kind of fun. Does that seem like Gad Saad trolling them?
I don't know, but
because I don't know, like what's he doing? Because he's an atheist, so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Is he just doing it? Let me see. So you could be an atheist and go to a Christian service and do various Christian things and so on, just as like a cultural thing. He's an atheist, but he's Jewish, so he could be doing, hey, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna go for this holiday or whatever and do this. Or he could like have a change of perspective and be like, hey, I'm actually gonna get try out Judaism or something like that. Or it could just be, hey, if I post a picture of myself wrapping tefillin, these guys are going to lose their minds, and it's hilarious.
I think he has kind of a newfound or refound appreciation for traditional Jewish stuff, especially over the last years or so. I saw him like increasingly go toward that direction. I think he might still be an atheist, but I've seen him engage more and more in like regular traditional religious stuff just for the sake of participation or appreciation or something like that. But they were like the gropers were attacking him over this kind of stuff, and clearly clearly saying very anti-biblical things in response to him and accusing him of doing something that is about Satan worship. Like the practice comes directly from the Bible. They don't know this, and it's okay if you don't know this. But
Shame on you doing this thing that comes straight from the Bible.
They go and start attacking someone and accusing him of oh, you're doing this. Did Satan teach you this? Did Satan teach you to do this? Are you sacrificing children? No, it's actually the Bible that teaches that taught them that. It's actually the Torah. Man, these people.
Weird stuff. All right, back to Nick Fuentes.
Not every Christian wakes up every day and says, Christ is king. Some liberal Christians wake up and say, we should tolerate everybody and everything's fine. So even some Catholics say that. But for a Catholic to wake up every day and say, Christ is king. Christ is your king. He's my king. He's the king. It's Christ himself. It is not just some vague God. It's a particular one. That's a very quick way to identify who's with us, who's a part of the body of the church, who's a part of the body of Christ, and who's outside of it for one reason or another. And Christ is king is something that actually Jewish people cannot participate in. And if we're to say that the country should be run by Christians, that's also something that Jews actually can't participate in.
You see? So that's the basis for doing it. And yet, what happens? He ruins a good Christian phrase by associating it with some of the biggest scumbags on the planet. Makes it all about groypers.
There we have it confirmed. Candace Owens adopted a groyper phrase. That's it.
Guys, again, he just acknowledged it. We started using this for a political purpose to separate people who would say this with us and people who wouldn't say it with us. And if you won't say it with us, then you're bad and we won't trust you. But guess what? Who's saying it? Who's saying, hey, let's all unite around this? Groypers. And so if I saw groypers saying, say this, I don't care if they're saying, say right now, 2 + 2 is 4. Say 2 + 2 is 4. I'm not saying it's because you guys are telling me to say it. And I'm not saying it as a show of solidarity with a bunch of scumbags. And so you get a bunch of groypers, a bunch of wannabe neo-Nazis running around going, Christ is king, Christ is king. And then eventually someone will point out, guys, look who's saying this. Look who's running around using this. They're using this as a political tool. They're weaponizing Jesus for their group. And as soon as people start pointing that out, then what happens? The groypers go, oh, you see, they're against Christ as king. You see, they're declaring war on Christ. Not on our stupid group. It's on Christ. Again, it's the exact same thing Black Lives Matter did. You have a screwed up, messed up, massively evil political agenda that 99.99% of people would instantly reject if you said it to them, if you said what you actually want. 99.99% of people would instantly say that is a load of crap, man. Get out of here with that nonsense. And so what do? You say, hey, we're just saying Christ is king, man. You're on board with that, aren't you?
You heard it right. David Wood says that the phrase Black Lives Matter is anti-Semitic crap.
You hear this? You hear this? You see. All right. So now what did we go through so far? Yeah, we're gonna check out Candace. We'll check out these super chats real quick, and then we're gonna check out AP's hero, Candace Owens, and her little video clip response to the study, and then we'll check out what she said about her tweets, and we'll look at her tweets. Thoughts on Sir Hamid Patel being appointed as Ofsted chairman UK? Oh, that's that Muslim who's now the chairman of the UK Education Board, right?
Oh yeah. The UK is doing a fantastic job. Whenever I say it, they're like, no, don't say it. But the UK is certainly doing a fantastic job at keeping the country in their hands.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The British government wants Islam to take over the entire country as a way of so they can atone for the age of colonialism. They've decided, oh, look what we did 200 years ago, you see. Oh, my goodness, we have to do something. We have to give our country to Islam and let Islam take us over. It's the only way for us to show how sincere we are in repenting for what we've done. So guess what? You're doing a bang-up job.
And most of the British people don't seem to have a big problem with it. So
that's on you guys. That's on you. And those of you who actually have a problem with it, because you're not lunatics and idiots,
go somewhere else.
Sucks, but it seriously does. It sucks, and I have no idea what you do in that situation. But yeah,
colonize a new place.
Yep.
Colonize a new place. There are lots of places in the world that are like very underdeveloped that people can't manage. Just do what you guys did in the past, centuries ago. Find a terrible place in the world, go there, forcibly colonize it, turn it into a better place, make it a new British colony, start a new country, and then you can be as great as the United States of America. There you have it. Easy solution.
You heard it here, folks. You've now you know. Dude, I was so disappointed you could not come to Speaker's Corner this time. I was so looking forward to it. Christ is Lord. Yeah, I was looking forward to it too. This would have been a good time. Instead, they locked the diesel out. AP, check Father Nikolai Steinhardt book, Giving You Shall Receive, reposed in the Lord. He was a Jew imprisoned during communist Romania and became Orthodox Christian in prison. Love you both. God bless you.
Nikolai Steinhardt. Huh.
I wonder what Tovia Singer thinks about this guy. Care to enlighten us? Mr. Arctic? You checking this out?
Yeah, I'm checking it out.
In the army, I was told the local Muslims, Iraq, Kuwait, believed Allah wasn't looking on Thursdays, so it was Man Love Thursday. Is that a real thing? I'm not familiar with that.
That sounds very strange.
Yeah, I don't know, but you do have some regional weird beliefs. There are so many men from Pakistan in the UK now that my wife said when she was in the gym, she had to wait over an hour to use the 5K dumbbells. That's kind of funny. Saying because they all use 5-pound dumbbells. The original confession is Christ is Lord, which would be far more offensive to Jews. They're playing with words, dodging nuances for psyop. Yeah, and that's by the way, this is an important point. As far as I've seen, it's mostly Christians saying, hey, stop misusing that phrase, you bunch of groiper losers, right? You'll occasionally have someone who's Jewish say something about it, and then they'll flip out, you see, the Jews are trying to get us to deny our faith and to be silent about our faith. Wait, they're not telling you not to say Jesus is Lord. They're not telling you not to say Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. They're not telling you not to say Jesus died on the cross for sins and rose from. They're not telling you not to say these things. They're pointing out exactly what lots of Christians are pointing out. This is being used by a really messed up group to shield their actual political claims from criticism. Don't fall for this idiotic nonsense. And you see, the Jews are at war with us. They're coming to destroy us. They control everything. Well, D. Wood, reading your dissertation right now. It's great. Yes, that's true. You have any recommendations on extra...
You wrote a dissertation?
Yeah. You have any recommendations on extra reading on the problem of evil? Also prayers. I'm going to North Africa tomorrow. Yeah, Howard, back then I read pretty much every major thing. You can't read... The problem of evil is something where you can't read absolutely everything because there's been too much on it. But yeah, I read every major thing on the problem of evil ever written, all the important articles and so on. But if you just go to the bibliography and the works cited at the end, several essays are part of compilations where you can get those. And so, yeah, check that out. I'd check out Hick's book. If you just want one, I'd go with Hick's book. And if you want a more philosophical one, there are some compilations there. But yeah, there's a works cited page that goes through all the major stuff. Unusual Grunt said Romans 8:35 to 39. Yes, powerful passage. That's one of those passages where I originally memorized it in King James and then later on would memorize it in a different version, like NIV and then in ESV. And then when I try to remember it, I can't because I have the translations jumbled up. But that's who shall separate us from the love of Christ. Again, this is where the particular words of the translation shall: tribulation or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword or something like that. And then no, in all these things we are more than conquerors. We are counted as sheep to be slaughtered. And that's when he goes into this awesome passage of, I am persuaded that neither death nor life nor angels nor principalities nor things present nor things to come nor height nor depth nor anything else in all of creation shall be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus. Why am I saying this when I can just look up the passage and quote it accurately?
Yes.
The heck, this is a good passage. All right. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall trouble or hardship or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword? I think this would be a good message for the Polish ex-Muslima, being concerned about losing your family. But you have, who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall trouble or hardship or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword? As it is written, for your sake we face death all day long. We are considered as sheep to be slaughtered. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. That was the original based passage. How do we cope with being Catholic and having the Pope being a communist? I don't know. I actually wonder that.
Communist?
Yeah, because I know, like people who criticize Catholicism say, but you believe in papal infallibility and stuff. No, that doesn't mean that everything the Pope does is infallible. Certain kinds of statements that the Pope makes would be considered infallible, but not everything the guy does. So you don't have to believe that the Pope is perfect or that everything he does has God's stamp of approval on it. You can actually, and you guys have had some messed up popes over the years. So I don't actually know how that works as far as what if you have a pope and he's saying some seriously screwed up, messed up stuff, and you're a Catholic who is supposed to submit to your leaders. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the process is as far as what you're supposed to do.
It's actually a little bit simple to an extent, which is that the Pope has authority, and you are supposed to obey him if he if it is a matter of dogma, of theology, of faith, and all that. If it is just a regular thing about politics, about worldly things, and all that, the Pope makes a statement, you're not supposed to just accept that as you're not supposed to accept him as authority on that. But and even if the Pope makes a statement about a theological matter and it clearly goes against agreed upon dogmatic, set in stone beliefs, then people are supposed to call that out and challenge it, which happened in the past. That's it. That said, I would have difficulty with several successive popes over the decades, for example, expressing sympathy or love for Islam, for example.
You heard it here, folks, but AP is, of course, a Kate Schumann in the Orthodox Church, and so don't take everything he says about the Catholic Church that he is at war with seriously, because he could be misrepresenting.
I think Catholicism is based.
You don't know anything, though. Hitchens used to say Christianity killed so many people. Meanwhile, Hitchens excused away deaths under communist atheism with, it was totalitarianism. New atheism cherry picking is their virtue. Yeah, in other words, if he were consistent, he would say, okay, so a bunch of atheists have killed tons of people. Maybe that's just something that human beings in positions of power tend to do, in which case I would have to be careful about attributing it to Christianity. I would have to say, were they in line with Christianity when they killed? But no, it's just, nope, anything you've ever done, anything that's been done in the name of Christianity has been the fault of Christianity. Anything that atheists have done, hey man, that's just people.
Powerful.
I know one of these types in real life. The other week, he told me about the Russian sleep experiment, creepypasta, as a real historical event.
Powerful.
I'm not sure what that's about. Russian sleep experiment, creepypasta.
You don't know what that's about?
No. Everyone knows that, David.
You don't know what creepy.
Generally speaking, says Christ is king is saying Messiah is Messiah. It's a nonsensical phrase. The God of the Jews, in the person of the Son Yeshua, salvation, has been given all authority over heaven and earth. He is the servant of all. Matthew 5:5. Yeah, there is something weird about saying, so Christ is the anointed king. So it's saying the anointed king is king, or Messiah is Messiah.
It's funny because this is basically why to Jews the phrase doesn't really mean anything. So there's no reason why they should be offended by it, which is why no Jew is offended, which is why this whole hysteria about, oh, the Jews are saying it's anti-Semitic is completely made up. I have to this day not seen a single Jew say the phrase is anti-Semitic. I have not seen a single Jew who said saying this phrase is anti-Semitic. I have not seen a single example of anyone actually arguing that the phrase or saying the phrase is anti-Semitic. Nobody said this. People have only said that using it or misusing it in a certain context, specifically to attack Jews, is what is bad here. If it was said to Jews directly, rather something like Jesus is God, Jesus is Lord, or something like that would be offensive for them to hear or perceive. That's it. But Jesus is king or Christ is king just doesn't really mean anything to them. It's funny.
Yeah, and so can we say that a bunch of people are straw manning the Jews right now? They're saying,
yes.
Like most Jews aren't saying anything about this, but those who are saying, hey, don't misuse that. Look who's using it. Look how they're using it. And so if you're saying, you see, they're telling us that the phrase that's saying Christ is king is anti-Semitic, that would be a straw man, right? Because that's not what people are saying. They're saying
like
how it's being used is.
Jews are not even mostly part of the conversation. It's just
I've only seen a couple.
Christians,
and I'm talking about since last year when it became a big issue. I've only seen a couple of.
It's just Christians telling other Christians that it is wrong to use it in this context, and then these groypers come and say, "Oh, you see, the Jews are saying it's anti-Semitic." No, Jews aren't even participating in the conversation. It's like they are barely saying anything about it. They don't want to participate in it. It's so ridiculous, man. Ben Shapiro and Rabbi Shmuley have said it is anti. No, they have not. Ben Shapiro never said the phrase is anti-Semitic. Stop making up nonsense.
Yes, he did.
Rabbi Shmuley, pretty sure, as terrible as he is, never said it either. Although with him, I could believe that he said something stupid like that. But I don't believe that he did. Prove it to me.
Low-key Joker says, Christians who hate the Jews yelling Christ is king is the equivalent of gays for Palestine. That'd be kind of different. Skipped lunch, dinner yesterday for Lent, and D would too. That's good. Just don't gorge yourself. Ezra is greater than king. He is foremost expert on Jews worship. Ezra is so powerful, one group thought another group worship the foremost expert. Yeah, that is true. Powerful. First Muslim pope might come someday, inshallah.
Inshallah.
You have to wonder the rate they're going. The rate they're going with this love affair of the pope. This, and keep in mind, it's this pope in particular, but there have been a couple of others. But yeah, you just wonder when, hey, yes, I'm a Muslim now, I'm the pope. First pope, 3 times denied Jesus Christ, but communist is an issue. Well, if you're talking about Peter right here, Peter repented. So if you're a communist and you turn away from that, that would be one thing. If you're just a total communist, I don't know enough about the guy to say what his views are, but hypothetically, if you're a communist, I'd have a problem with that. If you turned away from it, I wouldn't have a problem with the fact that you believe something stupid at some point. Muhammad said last hour won't come until all Jews are wiped out, but their version of Jesus comes before the end. However, Allah won't ever let him die. Therefore, paradise will never come to pass. Oh, I get it. You're saying, wait, Jesus is a Jew, so Muslims won't be able to wipe out all the Jews.
But the thing is, Jesus is supposed to eventually, not Jesus, but Isa is supposed to eventually die. And the thing is, Isa is not really a Jew because he's Isa. It's not like the real Jesus.
Yeah, and they don't actually have a problem with you if you convert to Islam. Then you're okay because you've submitted. The real problem with the Jews and Christians is if they're sincere, then they won't convert to Islam, and so they're always a problem. Romans 3:9-11. If only they listened. Oh yeah, that's part of the passage about no one being righteous. Let's see.
Nobody.
Yeah, here we go. What shall we conclude then? Do we have any advantage? Not at all. For we have already made the charge that Jews and Gentiles alike are all under the power of sin. As it is written, there is no one righteous, not even one. There is no one who understands. There is no one who seeks God. All have turned away. They have together become worthless. There is no one who does good, not even one. He's quoting a series of Old Testament passages about everyone becoming corrupt and so on. But he's pointing out this applies to human beings who sin in general. We're all Jew and Gentile. You're all in the same boat when it comes to sin. In all seriousness, how long do you think before selling up and getting out of UK becomes difficult? That is going to be an issue. If you are thinking you are eventually going to want to get out, you might want to do that sooner rather than later. Abduls won't ever outnumber the native population of the UK. They only have some cities. If Sharia was actually implemented, then huge hordes of natives would take parliament.
Droog, doubt it.
Yeah, Droog, I'm one of the people who actually thinks that not all hope is lost for the UK and that they can turn this around because what's the actual population? The Islamic population there is like 6.5% or something like that. So you still like, and even then, even within that Muslim population, you have Muslims who aren't trying to subjugate you and so on. So you've got a minority of the population who actually wants to take over and subjugate you and so on. But as far as they won't ever outnumber the native population, if things continue the way they are now, they will absolutely indisputably outnumber you. It's straightforward math.
If the trajectory continues as it is.
Yeah. So the native British population has extremely low birth rates, not even replacement, meaning your population would start dying. Your government won't allow that to happen. They need workers and so on. So what do? They keep bringing in more Muslims. But the Muslims have birth rates that are like 3 times higher than yours. So your leaders continue bringing in more, and the ones they bring in have massively higher birth rates. Guess what? You could take a group that is 1% of the population. If they have birth rates that are 3 times higher than yours, they will eventually outnumber you. That's if they just had 1% of the population and you weren't bringing any more. It's straightforward math at that point. It's inevitable. Again, unless something changes. What I'm saying is, I think something will change in the future. But what you're saying is, no, they won't ever do it. No, they won't ever do it if something changes, something significant changes. But you can't say they'll never do it. You can't say they'll never do it because it's inevitable that they do it unless something changes. So,
but David, seriously, under any circumstances, do you ever believe this whole theory here that if Muslims took over, British people would actually rise up and take parliament?
That's the other thing. And by the way, Drew, that's actually, there's been a study on that. What was it, like 11% of British, like the fighting age men, so young men?
Look, the best thing that would happen is a bunch of British people would go there and be like, "Oh, give me back my country, innit?" And then Muslims would be like,
and they'll hold up
"What's
signs.
the problem?" And they'll be like, "Oh, mate, I'm joking, mate. I'm joking. Calm down. Let's calm down. Let's talk about this, mate. Come on. Let's talk about this." That's what would happen.
Yeah. So the issue there, Drew, is no, we're going to stand up and take our country back. Okay, 11% of your young men say they're willing to stand up and defend their country. That's a small minority of the in fact, that group, if you take 11% of the young people, 11% of the young people, so not of all people in Great Britain, 11% of the young people, guess what? You are outnumbered. That group is outnumbered by Muslims. The people actually willing to fight for their country is already outnumbered. So again, things can change. People's minds can change. People can wake up to things. My position has been, the longer you wait to wake up, the more of a bloodbath it's going to be. There were times there are times when you could have dealt with this completely peacefully and so on. You are going to get to it when there is no peaceful solution, and the only way is a bloodbath. I would love to avoid the bloodbath. That's why I'm saying it. It's like, why? When we criticize Islam and undermine the ideology, people are, oh, you're so hateful. I'm the one trying to avoid the bloodbath. I'm the one trying to avoid everyone killing each other. And yet I'm the evil, hateful guy. And all the people saying, no, let's just put this off to the next generation and let them fight it out and have a big civil war. It's like, okay, and you're the good guys, right? You're the good guys who want to do things like that, who want a bloodbath. Weird stuff. Yeah. Where's it? What were you saying before you started fighting a mosquito?
Nothing.
Did you win at least? Did you catch it?
No. It fled.
Let's see, a couple more and then we'll check out Candace. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about the red heifers and third temple? We did a whole live stream on that. You could check it out. You could search for it.
Red heifers are based.
Yep, they're extremely based. England will be Muslim, and then the inhabitants of Islas Malvinas will come begging to join the Argentinian Empire. We are getting the islands back, baby. Nice. Classic. AP, what proportion of Muslims know anything about history? Very few. Do they honestly think of
2%.
themselves? Okay, good. Do they honestly think of themselves as being oppressed by Jews? Do they feel embarrassed at all claiming that? Are they lying through their teeth to curry favor with woke? Is this pure Machiavellianism?
I will be very honest here. Most Muslims actually learn to be proud of their Muslim history and learn to be proud of the jihad and proud of Islamic conquests and all that. I was raised in a culture, and I know others are raised in a culture where we learn that the Muslims were great and conquered the world and so on. So they are proud, and they're also proud of oppressing, of subjugating others, and so on. When they face something like not being superior in Christian lands, for example, or being supposedly oppressed in a Jewish land by Israel, what they mean by oppression is not really what you would mean by oppression. What they mean by oppression is rather that they're not getting their way, and that the other side is being cruel to them by simply fighting back and not letting them do what they would like to do. Muslims learn to be proud of conquest, of subjugation, of subversion, and so on, of the entire world. Their ideal future would be for Israel and for the Jews to lay down their weapons and submit to the Muslims and get punished and slapped around. Their ideal for the future of Europe and Christians would also be to lay down their guards and to submit, to hand over their countries and then get slapped around and subdued and do whatever the Muslims say. This is what the ideal future is. Don't believe a single word about oppression.
The important takeaway of what AP just said there is, for lots of people in the Ummah, we're being we're being oppressed is actually, we're not getting our way. We want our way. We want our way. We want our way. We want what we want our way. We want our way. Give us what we want. Give us what we want. If you say no, help, we're being oppressed. Mm-hmm. Muslim. Your guys' thoughts on Immaculate Conception of Mary? Don't know why you'd ask us. Two, I don't see any biblical basis for it. So you'd have to have some church basis, but
biblically
I
based.
wouldn't be in that church. I'm not part of that church, so
I would say that there is a solid there are solid grounds to assert that that Mother Mary is pure and free of sin and blame and all that. Of course, the whole idea of her being um, always that and never being part of the fallen nature of humanity is a whole discussion. But then you have
Hey,
on one
you
hand
better go
here,
ask your priest, man. You better go
you
ask
have
your
one
priest.
a Protestant who calls himself non-denominational because he doesn't want to call himself Protestant, and on the other hand, you have a Kate Schumann in the Orthodox Church. So, not sure why you would ask this question to us. You know,
Because if you really want to tick off Jews and Muslims, then you're better off making St. Peter's confession: Jesus of Nazareth is the Christ, the Son of the living God.
you see,
No, you just say Christ is king, and the Muslims will agree with you. So many young people have been educated to hate Great Britain, lied to about empire, think Islam is religion of peace, won't listen. That is a problem. Tons of manipulators. This is what happens when everyone. This is what happens when everyone in every position of power, the government, journalists, the educators, everyone is bombarding these young people with these ideas. You end up with a group that actually wants to be subjugated and thinks they deserve to be subjugated.
the best time of the British Empire was when it was a British Empire. The best time of Great Britain was when it was a great British Empire. I would say that people shouldn't be ashamed to say, especially British people, if they want to actually save their country, should not be afraid to say that that Great Britain was a blessing to the world when it went out and colonized the world, when it ruled over much of the world. It was actually a great thing because it brought flourishing to every corner of the world. It brought greatness to corners of the world. It brought greatness to itself. This whole trying to be like, oh, we have bad history, and all the others they deserve to now come here and exploit us and all that. That's nonsense, man. You're just committing suicide. Don't commit suicide.
Yeah, don't do it. Say no. Let's see. And then we had the second one here. Your guys' thoughts on the Immaculate Conception of Mary. Even as a Catholic, I find serious issues with it. Yeah, if you want to explore issues with that, it would be best to ask people who really focus on that, and that wouldn't be me or AP so far. But give AP some time, and he will be.
It's kind of funny because this Catholic rosary here has what is called the miraculous medal, and on here it says conceived without sin. So it has the whole idea of the Immaculate Conception right there. But I never really spent much thought on it.
Mm-hmm. Where would you start when exploring evidence for Christianity? Thanks. Probably trying to think here. I don't know if you're starting like from the ground up as far as like existence of God or things like that, or specifically evidence for Christianity. I mean, Lee Strobel's first book that really took off, The Case for Christ, is a good book. He goes around interviewing various scholars on the issues. So Case for Christ. If you're talking about introductory level stuff, Gary Habermas and Mike Lacona's book, The Case for the Resurrection of Jesus. That's good stuff. And then, yeah, I'd start there. I'd start with resurrection stuff.
You see.
Let's see. And we want our way and we want it now. Alhamdulillah. That is pretty accurate. Pretty accurate. All right, guys. Now we have a clip from our hero.
Mojab Search History says, I don't know if Africans will agree with AP that the British Empire was good for them. Well, nobody really asked them. So, I'm not asking their opinion.
Good point. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we have Candace Owens responding to the Christ is King controversy.
Okay, so let's start in the past. Obviously, today I was actually going to speak to you about Hugh Jackman being...
We can't start in the past. We can only start where we're at.
drafted into the Blake Lively lawsuit, but I'm glad that we have pivoted and it's Lent season. And for whatever reason, this just seems to happen again during Lent season as it did last year. So for those of you that are new to my podcast and
Yeah, shocker how the Jews decide to go after us every Lent season and every Easter.
everybody, I guess, is new to my independent podcast. Last year, almost exactly a year, I was fired from the Daily Wire. I think it was March 22nd or March 23rd. And after we agreed to part ways, within 24 hours, it might have been 48 hours, Andrew Klavan of the Daily Wire released a 1-hour video, essentially accusing me of many things, but referring to me as anti-Semitic, trying to link me to Nick Fuentes.
You're literally shouting the slogan that we just saw him acknowledge that he's the one who came up with, to use it for a purpose, and you unite with him on that purpose. And as far as Andrew Klavan calling you anti-Semitic, I mean, I don't know. I can't say he's a prophet, but you literally won Anti-Semite of the Year. So there's that.
No link between me and Nick Fuentes, but the ADL and Andrew Klavan tried to sort of establish one in his video, and they did this via Twitter, and then said that the most egregious thing that I had done was used Christ as King against a Jew. And that is just completely not factual.
Hang on. Let's go back. We've got the receipt. We've got the receipts, folks.
She immediately starts out with a lie, man.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see. I actually see her defense. I don't buy her defense. We're gonna look at her. We're gonna look at her defense. It seems pretty bad. But so guys, she's saying she has never tweeted this. She's never tweeted Christ as King. This is what she's being accused of. I mean, she's being accused of all kinds of things. But one of the things she's being accused of, as far as her connection with the Groypers and stuff, is she tweeted Christ is King at Ben Shapiro. And then so everyone's saying, wait a minute, you're just like the Groypers, saying you jumped on the Christ is King bandwagon of using this against Jews. I've never tweeted that against a Jew. Never happened. We'll take a look at it, but we'll let her finish.
Establish one in his
because he's not a real Jew.
He's not a real Jew.
Video, and they did this via Twitter, and then said that the most egregious thing that I had done was used Christ as King against a Jew. And that is just completely not factual. I've never once uttered that phrase at a Jew. At the time that this happened in March, I had not tweeted that phrase, I don't believe, since the prior November is what he was referring to. And I certainly did not tweet it at any Jew. And
so she said she had tweeted it. She said she had tweeted it, but she wasn't tweeting it at a Jew.
So an entire scandal was born overnight, really, when people just began going, what is this? Obviously, it's Easter week, and we are having somebody essentially try to make it sound as though saying the phrase Christ is King is derogatory in a circumstance if you utter it at a Jew, and yet that circumstance had not happened. And I take questions and...
Pause. This is actually very important because contrary to what most of these propagandist people say, she actually just acknowledged the real objection that people have, which is not that the phrase itself is anti-Semitic, not that saying the phrase itself is anti-Semitic, but rather that using the phrase in a context of tweeting it hatefully at a Jew is obviously anti-Semitic and should just not be done because you're abusing the name of Christ. The thing is, she just contrary to most people, she just actually acknowledged the real objection that people have. But then she, of course, denies that she ever did this. The problem is that we know that she actually did do it. So if she does acknowledge the proper objection here, then and she denies that she actually did that, she's just getting her facts wrong, probably deliberately. I don't know. She did the very thing that people accuse her of doing. That's it.
Indeed.
People that attack my faith or attack the reason that I have said something very seriously. I take it very seriously. And in the context that I had used the phrase Christ is King was perfectly acceptable. The prior November, I tweeted it because the media was trying to get me to engage in an attack against my colleague, and I decided to abstain. And I said, blessed are the peacemakers.
Just like Andrew Tate said.
Hang on. You see this? She says, "Hey, I was, they're trying to cause division between me and my former colleagues, and I just wouldn't go for it. And I said, blessed are the peacemakers. That was me. I was trying to make peace. And so that's the context of all this. And so how can you be pointing a finger at me? Wait for it.
Media was trying to get me to engage in an attack against my colleague, and I decided to abstain. And I said, blessed are the peacemakers. And I thought that I was choosing peace in that moment. And indeed, that certainly backfired anyways.
All right.
She's a lying snake.
Yeah, evil, lying. At this point, guys, if the only thing I knew about Candace was what she just said and actually what she said in her tweets, and that's her representation, I would not trust a word she says. I wouldn't trust a word she said. And the fact that some of you are like, yes, Candace, oh yes, who would instantly just buy any idiotic thing she said. I never said it. I'm saying that because I've seen people defend it. Yeah, she's right. She never did say it. She never did say it at Ben Shapiro. And then her say, I was just trying to make peace. I wasn't trying to cause division. Let's go ahead and check out let's go ahead and check these out real quick. All right, right?
Yeah.
So look, she's responding to Ben Shapiro here. She says, you are utterly out of line for suggesting that I cannot quote biblical scripture. The Bible is not about you. And then Ben Shapiro here says, she's responding to Ben Shapiro saying, Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means quit. And so she responds to that. You are utterly out of line for suggesting that I cannot quote biblical scripture. The Bible is not about you. And then 2 minutes later, she posts a follow-up comment, Christ is king. So here's the defense of Candace Owens when she's saying, I've never said this to a Jew. Her defense is she responded to her own comment. She responded to her own comment. Therefore, she's responding to herself and not to Ben Shapiro. See that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now. We're not done.
Lying snake.
Yeah. Because let's go back. Let's go back. The
funny thing is, let's just point out one thing here, which is that if we are to assume that she's actually being genuine here in this exchange, just before even coming to the Christ is King, Ben Shapiro says, Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means quit. She says, you are utterly out of line for suggesting that I cannot quote biblical scripture. The Bible is not about you. Ben Shapiro never did any of that. Ben Shapiro never suggested that.
Wait, yeah, that's what we're looking at next. But yeah, just follow the reasoning, ladies and gentlemen. You are out of line. The Bible's not about you. Christ is king. Is she or is she not directing this towards Ben Shapiro? Is she just reminding herself that Christ is king here? That's her defense. I never tweeted. I never said this to a Jew. I never said this. No. That's just me responding to my own tweet. Okay. Now let's look at what Ben Shapiro said. So this is what Ben was responding to. She quoted, "Blessed are the peacemakers," and this is when she says, "See, I'm just saying, hey, peace. I'm trying to build bridges here. I don't want to throw my colleagues under the bus." And so what she says is, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom." Keep in mind, guys, she's talking about herself because they're blasting her. People are blasting her for being an anti-Semite and so on. And she's saying, blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. But then when you ask her about it now, she said, I was just saying, hey, I want peace. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Who's she talking about here? She's talking about herself. She's the true follower of Christ in all this, and she's being persecuted by all these evil people. But some of those evil people are the people she worked with, are the people she worked with back then. And then so she has here, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Now, in the context of what was going on November 14th, 2023, she had been posted. Keep in mind, guys, this is a little over a month after the October 7th attacks. She's going off on Jews for being behind everything. And then she gets called out, and people are calling out the Daily Wire going, how do you have this? How do you have this woman? How do you have this woman as doing one of your shows? How can you be doing this? And then when she gets blasted, blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake. She's the peacemaker. She's the peacemaker because she's condemning Israel and so on. She's the one calling for peace, calling for the Jews to end their persecution of the Palestinians. And she's being persecuted. She's being persecuted for calling out Israel. She's being persecuted by her own company, but she has to remain true to her faith because, she says it here, no one can serve two masters. So she has a moral obligation as a devout Christian to call out the evil Jews for what they're doing. But her job says you need to stop doing this. You can't do this, and we're the ones who write your paycheck. We write your paycheck, so you can't be sitting around moaning and wailing about Jews all the time and be getting a paycheck from us. And she says no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. So, sorry, Daily Wire, just because you write my paycheck doesn't mean I'm going to bow to you and submit to you and not call out these Jews for what they're doing to the Palestinians. I have to serve God, not money. And then Christ is king, not you. Not you, Daily Wire. Not you, Ben Shapiro. Not you, Jeremy Boring. Not you, Andrew Klavan. Christ is king, not you. And so I'm going to continue making peace. I'm going to continue enduring persecution for my righteousness' sake because I'm righteous and I will not serve two masters. I will not serve your paycheck. I won't do it. Christ is king. Christ is king. Christ is king. So that's what she had posted, right? She's being persecuted because of her righteousness, and she's not going to back down. Why? Because if she backs down because her job is telling her, then she would be serving two masters. You can't serve two masters. Therefore, she's going to keep doing what she's doing, even if you persecute her. All right. Now, this is the tweet that Ben Shapiro responds to. She's saying, hey, my job is trying to force me to not keep complaining about Jews when all I'm trying to do is make peace. What am I supposed to do here? I can't serve two masters. Christ is king. And so Ben Shapiro responds, Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means, quit. Guess what? He's totally right. If you say, hey, my job is trying to force me and I feel conflicted here because they're saying that they write my paychecks and I can't be going against what the company wants and so on. And he says, if you think that's a problem, go ahead and quit. And look at her response. Look at her response. Again, if all I knew about her was just this tweet, I would think she's a lying, evil, terrible person. How does Candace respond to Ben Shapiro saying, hey, if you feel like you're being conflicted here and you're having to compromise because you're trying to serve Christ while also working for our company, there's a very simple solution, lady. You're allowed to quit anytime. At any time, you can say, I don't want to work here anymore. I'm going to go do things on my own. If you feel that you are being forced to serve two masters, us, because we write your paycheck and so you're serving money, and God, and you have a problem with that, then you can quit. Look at how she responds. If I've seen her do this over and over and over again, but this is just terrible. You are utterly out of line for suggesting that I cannot quote biblical scripture. Did Ben Shapiro say she can't quote scripture? Did he criticize her for quoting scripture?
Oh, yes, in her head.
That's my point, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the thing. She just did the exact same thing that the people who are going, oh, the Jews are telling us not to say Christ is king. You completely misrepresent and straw man what the person is saying and then attack your straw man. What did she do? He says, hey, Candace, you're saying you've got this conflict because you're expected to do the job you're hired to do, and yet you want to do this other thing that does not align with your company, and you're saying you're conflicted. By all means, quit. There's a simple, obvious, easy solution. If you think we're oppressing you or something like that, you can just quit. And how does she represent what he said? because she's got her followers. 59,000. Keep in mind, 59,000 likes on this. 59,000 likes on. You are out of line for suggesting that I cannot quote biblical scripture. The Bible is not about you. Where did Ben say you can't quote biblical scripture? This is something that people take advantage of if they are deceivers. You misrepresent what the other person said, knowing that among your fans, one, there are a bunch of people who are just stupid and they listen to your framing of what was said instead of what was actually said. And so if Candace says, Ben Shapiro just said, I cannot quote biblical scripture. He's telling me I can't be a true Christian and quote biblical scripture. I'm not allowed to. You see, they are persecuting me. They're saying I can't even quote the Bible. They're saying they will persecute me if I quote the Bible. You see what they're doing? And all the people, oh my goodness. So you have stupid people, like insanely stupid people who fall for that idiotic nonsense. But also you have people who just aren't paying attention to what's being said, aren't paying attention to what Ben Shapiro said. And so they're just kind of scrolling through this and what? Ben Shapiro said what? And they go with it. So they might not be stupid, but they're being sloppy. My point is, Candace knows this. And when you know that you have a bunch of stupid idiot followers who believe any idiotic thing you say, and you use their stupidity to rile them up against someone, okay, I'd say you're doing something messed up. I'd say you're being evil and you're being an evil, despicable person. You're blasting them, telling them they're trying to get you to force you to compromise your devout Christian faith because you want to just keep blasting away at Jews and attacking Jews. You're talking a month after the October 7th massacre, the taking of hostages, all the sexual abuse, all this stuff, a month after that, and you're blasting away at Jews. And selling every deranged anti-Jewish conspiracy theory you can find. And people call out the Daily Wire. How is this woman on the same side as you guys on anything? How? She's a nutcase. And then she complains that she's being persecuted. Ben replies, "Hey, if you feel like we're the bad guys here and we're somehow controlling you, and you're being forced to compromise your faith. Just if we're the bad guys here, if we're the evil ones here, why are you taking money from us? You have the ability to quit." How does she respond? He's saying I'm not allowed to quote scripture. You see how these Daily Wire guys, especially this Jewish one, is persecuting me and not allowing me to quote the Bible. Is he saying don't quote the Bible? No. Is he saying one word about that? No. And then she follows it up with so after just flat out lying, for purposes of her stupid idiot followers. You see this Jew, he's telling me this, he's telling me I can't quote the Bible. She instantly follows that up with, Christ is king. The Bible's not about you. That's her last sentence. The Bible's not about you, Ben Shapiro. Christ is king. Who's she talking to with Christ is king here? She says this was not addressed to Ben Shapiro. She's not talking about Ben Shapiro here. What do you guys think? Is she being truthful, or is this a grifter who knows her audience? Is this a lying, evil grifter who knows her audience and uses deception as a tool to stir up hostility towards anyone who criticizes her? Let's do a poll, man. Let's do a poll. Because I don't know. I know we've got some groypers here who are automatically going to side with Candace because she's their hero. So we've got the groypers. We have Candace fans who, keep in mind, that's the problem about people being programmed to just align with their group. If you're a Candace person, you're a big Candace fan. It's just because, and AP, we've seen this. We saw this a lot with like Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, well, this is what I did. This is what I tweeted. This is how I tweeted. This is what I did in my PhD course, and this is what I did with this woman. He can brag about it for years. And then all he has to do, the very next, matter of fact, he could say one thing one day, and the very next day say, I never did that, and I never said that. And all his fans will go, he never did that, never said that. Even if he said it a million times. It's just, and it's like that in Islam, right? Where Muhammad could step out and say the opposite of what he said the previous day. Some new revelation completely contradicts it. And then they all just go along with the new revelation. And so you have this over and over and over again. But guys, this is like manipulation 101. If you get a group and you can just tell them anything now, and it doesn't matter if it completely contradicts what you said an hour before, or it doesn't matter how obvious you are lying, you cannot reject what the person is saying because it would mean you're no longer part of the group. Guess what? These are cult behaviors. Everyone right now is falling for basic cult behaviors, basic cult tactics. Here's how you develop a group over time that will not question anything you say. And once you get that group, guess what? If Ben Shapiro says, hey, if you're complaining about your company you work for, you're allowed to quit. And she says, you see, this Jew is saying I'm not allowed to quote scripture because I'm a Christian. None of your followers is going to question you. Not the ones that have really been manipulated. And if you then immediately tweet Christ is king, and a year later you say, I never tweeted Christ is king at him. They'll say, she never did it. She said it. She said she never did it. She didn't do it. She says she's talking to herself. Yes. So instead of, she's talking to herself. So instead of just saying it to herself in her room, she actually had to tweet it herself as a follow-up to the tweet that she sent 2 minutes earlier to Ben Shapiro, and which is connected to that. You getting all this, AP? Oh wait, I wanted to do a poll.
Of course, man. Of course I am. What do you think? What do you think I am? Oh, you wanted to do a poll.
Yeah, but I was off the screen. I was off the screen with the thing where I put on where I do a poll.
You wanted to do a poll.
We're gonna do it. Where is it? Where's the poll button?
First, you gotta find the poll.
Ah, it's the plus. It's the plus sign.
They're usually in Poland.
Okay, was Candace's tweet saying what? Oh, here we go. Was Candace's Christ is king tweet directed at Ben Shapiro? Was Candace's Christ is king tweet directed at Ben Shapiro? So I'm going to launch this poll right now, ladies and gentlemen. So everyone sees what we're talking about. Was Candace's Christ is king tweet directed at Ben Shapiro? Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a poll. And again, we got some Groypers here, and we got some Candace fans and so on. So I'm not sure what people are going to actually vote.
We have Groypers? We don't have Groypers. So what are you talking about? Why would Groypers watch this show?
Groypers love you, man.
Groypers love me. But I don't love Groypers.
Well, it's pretty heavily favoring the yes that was directed at Ben Shapiro, which is what in the video she says she never did this, guys. She said she has never directed Christ is king at a Jew. She's saying that is a false accusation coming from the Jews who are trying to persecute her because of her righteousness. The Jews are trying to persecute her because of her righteousness, and they're falsely accusing her of saying Christ is king to a Jew. But she was keep in mind, she was just saying it to herself. She's saying it to herself as part of the thread that is directed towards this Jewish guy. All right, everyone got that? All right, the Groypers and the Candace fans are jumping in. They've actually lowered it started off at 96, now it's down to 91, but still massive majority of people not following. Keep in mind, guys, when you're saying, she obviously was saying that to Ben Shapiro. She's obviously responding to Ben Shapiro. What you're saying is she just lied to all her fans, lied to all of her followers, and that she's a liar. That's what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. It's obvious. I mean, obvious. Just like it's obvious when she says, Ben Shapiro says I'm not allowed to quote scripture. Obviously, she is lying to take advantage of a bunch of idiot followers, to enrage her mob, to enrage her group, and send them off against Ben Shapiro and any other Jew who wants to say that, hey, if you don't like your job, you're allowed to leave. That's who we're dealing with. Fortunately, it looks like most people aren't falling for it. That's good. That's good. Wait, we have a breakdown here. Where did that go? Someone just posted their breakdown of the percentages here. Where'd it go? Okay, here we go. It disappeared. What are you doing, man? Why do you have a diaper on your head? Here we go. Stop sitting every day. 5% trolls, 3% groypers, 1% can't read, 91% can read. Yeah, if you don't look at Christ is King in response to a comment that was directed at Ben Shapiro and say, hey, she's lying when she says she's never directed that statement at a Jew. Yeah, I'd consider you at the very least really, really gullible and probably extremely stupid. What is that thing on your head? It's weird because you look kind of cool, but still like a dork.
It's a headset I have been having the entire time.
What's that?
It's a headset.
You've got Diha Al-Tobi's underwear on your head.
Oh no, this is a diaper. Yeah.
So what's looks like things are leveling off at a little over 90%. They're at 91%. So 91%. And guys, I didn't know if that was going to be like 50-50 or something. I expected a majority to be literate and to be able to say, okay, she obviously was directing that at Ben Shapiro. So anyway, interesting stuff. Let me just get a screenshot of that for future reference.
Yeah, let me recite the Quran just to demonstrate how awesome it is, how beautiful it is. While you're doing that.
That's powerful bass stuff.
See, there you go. This is what people love about Islam, man.
Very bass, very bass. All right, well, Candace, I'd say you lost that one. You failed to deceive this audience. You failed to deceive this audience. And what did we do? We went through her tweets. We looked at what she said. And we said, is she being honest? And 91% of people basically said she's flat out lying to her followers. Just flat out. And that's, guys, when it's that obvious that you're just lying, I don't know why people still keep following you. Because again, it is obvious. I mean, when you say, no, what? I was just trying to make peace. I was just trying to make peace. Because look, I said, blessed are the peacemakers. Okay, look at what you actually said and look at what you're responding to. And then Ben says, hey, you're allowed to quit, you know. Oh my goodness, he's saying I can't quote scripture. How do you take that person seriously? How? How do you take that person seriously? She's obviously lying to you. And then she's, yeah, Christ is King in your face, Ben Shapiro. And it gets pointed out, hey, she's like the groyper saying Christ is King to Jews. And then her response, what? I've never said that to a Jew. These guys are lying. I was just saying it to myself. I don't know, man. People, how does she have fans? But again, it's the same situation with Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate still has tons and tons of fans. I can only conclude some people just love being lied to. It makes them feel warm and cozy inside their little group. You got the same situation with Andrew Tate. You got the same situation with the Dawa crowd, the Dawa bros. And now you got the same situation with Candace, of course.
I mean, it is very easy to understand what she was actually saying, and she was being actually she was clearly saying it at a Jew, and those who say that she did not say it at a Jew, they're fooling themselves.
That is true. Valid point.
Very obvious. Very obvious.
All right, let's take a couple super chats, and then we'll just sort of glance through Candace's recent tweets and Jordan Peterson's recent tweets. They took a couple shots at each other, and then we'll look at kind of the main findings of the study that caused this rumpus. We want our way, and we want it now. Alhamdulillah. That is true.
I wish instead of taking shots at each other, people just took shots. Yeah.
That's what they should do. MW says, Luke 1:26-38 and Luke 1:39-56 speaks to Mary, the mother of Jesus, and more in Matthew 1:16. Yes, I acknowledge that there are Bible passages speaking. So here you especially in Luke 1, you have the angel Gabriel talking to Mary. We're not saying did an angel talk to Mary. We're not saying did the angel Gabriel talk to Mary. We're saying, does the angel Gabriel and what he said to Mary suggest, like, where are you getting immaculate conception from that? You could say anything, but that's the issue. Is it? But again, if you believe that a church has authority to make a proclamation and so on, and you're part of that church, that's a different story. You believe in a source. If I don't believe in that church, then what I'm going to is the Bible. And so the question would be, what in the Bible says that? Edgar says, the irony here is that at the end of the day, it was indeed all about money for her. She literally vindicated what Ben alluded she attempts to do. Yeah, she is. That's messed up. And by the way, if that was her only problem, even if she wasn't a horrible anti-Semite and so on, if her issue was just she completely misrepresents what people say in order to demonize them and so on, I don't want you working for my company. I don't want you saying, if someone says some word of criticism to you and you say, oh, this person is saying this thing that the person never said, I wouldn't want you doing shows for my company. Yeah. Daniel Hakikachu's doctor after his debate with IP could be Dr. Mazen Abdullah, a gynecologist and obstetrician from New York. You guys should look into him.
I don't want to look into him.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to pop up if we look that guy up. It's probably be some pervy. All right, I'm going to look it up. Dr. Mazen Abdullah.
Dr. Amazing.
He's an OBGYN. What am I missing here?
Wallahi.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing here. So it pops up, but it's just a guy's a gynecologist and obstetrician.
Wallahi, I'm a gynecologist. Wallahi. Anyway.
Did she ever address her former mentor and friend Dennis Prager's heartfelt letter to her? Have you guys read it? No, but I know she used to do shows for what is that? Something University, Prager University.
Pregnant University.
Yeah, so she used to do videos for Prager University, and then yeah, I would guess Dennis Prager. I would guess I could anticipate how he would respond to her, and. Yeah, maybe we will check it out one day. Hi, guys. Just tuned in. Big love to both. And AP, so happy for you on your new journey, on your new faith journey. Okay, we'll listen now. P.S. Candace is a deceptiver. That's true.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I would say it's indisputable. It's indisputable. Like, if you can't look at what Candace does and say, okay, she obviously lies in order to dupe her followers and push them in the direction she wants them to go. If you can't say that about Candace, you can't say it about anyone. I would just conclude that no one ever lies and no one has ever lied. If that's not lying, then nothing is. Technically, even if she is replying to her own tweet, as long as Ben is in the thread, she is replying to him too. Yes, I would. Yeah, that's considered. I would consider that obvious as well, as part of a thread. It's part of a thread that is responding to him. Oh, here we go. Hey guys, AP, if it's ever official, can you please talk with the Babylon Bee and David bring JP on and Jared Lemaster? You hear it here? I've already interviewed Jared and that other guy.
Who's Jared?
The Babylon Bee guy. I destroyed those. I wrecked those dudes. I completely humiliated those dudes in my interview.
The thing is, Daily Wire invited me on there years ago. I think it's because of you.
Oh, yeah.
When you went there. Uh-huh. And I couldn't actually go then, so I kind of dropped that back then. But yeah, maybe it could be of interest now.
I mean, Babylon B. Babylon B. Babylon B.
Babylon B.
Babylon B. Babylon B. Yeah, guys, you can check out my... I interviewed them and they interviewed me, and it was good because I was responding to their dumb questions. But I interviewed them with powerful and brilliant questions, and they just crumbled. They crumbled like cookies, like cookies. Hang on, we might watch that.
Surprised.
What's that?
I'm kind of surprised that we got a super chat from Tarun Taj, and it's not about veganism.
Yeah, it's weird. I assumed it was going to be David and AP. You have to be. You have to be vegans. AP, you're converting, but make sure you become a vegan. What?
Yeah.
Just wonder where that video is. I'm trying to crush these dudes. All right, hang on. Let's finish these up. Accidentally voted no glasses. I wonder how many of that 9% were like that. A lot of people in my friend circle say Hitler was right and we technically lost World War II. Has Brett Cooper sided with Owen? You familiar with this?
A lot of people in my friend circle say Hitler was right and we technically lost World War II. Has Brett Cooper sided with Owen? Brett, I don't know. I'm not sure what Brett Cooper did. I never followed anything she did before or after she separated from Daily Wire. I'm pretty sure she actually separated from Daily Wire by her own choice, or because she didn't agree with their conditions or something like that. If a lot of people in your friend circle actually say stuff like Hitler was right and technically lost World War II, then maybe the time has come for Muslims to take over. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Brett Cooper except for she was with the Daily Wire for a while, and then the only thing I ever saw was Sneeko watching her. And remember that when Sneeko got in trouble because he said he would. She posted a video of her doing the splits. I don't know why she was posting that, but she posted a video of her doing the splits, and Sneeko posted a video of him watching it and saying that if she would do that on top of him, he would nuke Gaza. And then he got in trouble. And then he got in trouble with Muslims saying, "How dare you say this?" Because after he had converted to Islam. And then he says, "Come on, guys. I just, what's his motto? I spread truth through funny." And they're going, "We don't find it funny talking about," think about this. From a Muslim Dawa perspective, it's, if I could get this girl to do splits on top of me, I would nuke Gaza. And these people say, that's not a good way to joke. And, but I'm so funny. What is this, man? Oh, boy. Let's see. Hey, hi, AP. Just got here. Sorry if it's repeat. Before you commit to orthodoxy, you should probably check out the 9 councils to make sure you agree with them.
Thank you.
That will be part of your education as a Kate Schumann. What would happen if we start say Christ is king in Hebrew? The Groypers would say, "What are they saying? We don't know what they're saying. Let's condemn them." I think that nude mud rustling is the best way to sort out arcane theological arguments. Imagine the Filioque smackdown. What's wrong with you, man? You see what the Rabbi Tovia Singer fans do? Love you guys. Appreciate your ministry. Praying for you. Thank you. Christ is the God Emperor of mankind. And why does AP look like he owns oil fields? Yes, he is the best of
I want
oil.
to guess these, man. What are you talking about?
He's the best of oil field owners. It's funny. So if you don't want to say Christ is king, you say Christ is the God Emperor of mankind. There we go. That's the new non-griper version. Watched the Babylon Bee vid today. Comedy gold. Yeah, we might check it out. Franco Friday today. He's whack. As long as you're not talking about Franco Harris, legendary running back for the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers. Watch their latest vids from the last 3 years.
Whose vids?
Who? The Babylon Bee? I think he wants Babylon Bee.
Babylon?
Hey, Tarun. First, all you do is nag us for years about telling us we have to become vegans, and now you're nagging us about, no, you have to go and watch all the Babylon Bee videos. Now you got me thinking that these guys are somehow like a bunch of vegans. This is weird. This is weird stuff. And then we have Kate Schumann saying, "Keep my name out your mouth." And so we shall.
The picture.
All right.
Is it AI generated picture of Kate Schumann? I don't know.
That is the Kate Schumann. Let me see. So, all right. I just pulled up sort of this is the top. This is the top of what you get if you search for Christ is King here. Christ is King. So what do you get? You get Christ is King. So if you search for Christ is King, I'm just going to scroll through from the top here. Frank here says, if you're confused why Christians get really offended when Christ is King is used like this, then I very much question that you actually believe Christ is King. And so he shared shared how the gropers are using this. And it's, You see what he said to this Jew, and Christ is king.
This just looks like you misusing the name for hate.
How do you know what anything looks like when your eyes are covered by your underwear?
Because I remember what you're looking at, because I saw it earlier.
All right, so Jack Poso. So this is the guy we heard from earlier. When we say Christ is king, we are not just speaking. We are rebelling against what's the truth. We are tearing down these modern idols and putting the true king back on his throne. And that's why the smears come. It represents a refusal to play by their rules. Their rules. We won't play by their rules. Anyone buy this, that they're putting Christ back on his throne? Do you think Christ was off the throne or something like this? You're really doing this to acknowledge Christ? That's why you're doing this? That's the part, guys, that's the part. We don't believe you. We don't believe you. We think you have a slimy tactic for duping people into thinking Jews are trying to stop them from being Christians. That's what we think. We think you are we think you're a bunch of anti-Semites. You hate Jews, and you're sitting around trying to come up with ways to attack Jews who aren't bothering you. And this is what you came up with. And guess what? You've had some success. This did work. This did work. But don't act like, oh no, we just have the purest of Christian intentions. Not buying it. You had the Trad West. Probably anything with Trad in it is going to be posting stuff like this. Christ is king. You see? It's good for Christians to say Christ is king, especially when you scream it at a Jew. Candace Owens said, already the number 4 trend in the U.S. If we have to do this every year, we will. We will never stop proclaiming it. But whoever denies me before men, I will also deny him before my Father who is in heaven. Christ is king. So now, if you don't shout Christ is king, if you don't go with the groypers, you're denying Jesus before men, and you will be denied before his Father who is in heaven. You guys catching this? If you are not on board with the groyper chant of Christ is king, you are denying Christ before men, and therefore you must submit to the groyper group and be a groyper and yell whatever the groypers say, or you'll be disowned by Jesus. Jack Poso here again. They want to make saying Christ is king hate speech. We will not submit. Christ is king. Christians are being slaughtered in Africa and Syria, and they attack us for saying Christ is king.
They.
Who's they? Who are they? They're working in the dark. They're working in the dark to brand Christ as king as hate speech. No earthly power can dethrone him. They're trying to dethrone him. They're trying to dethrone him by saying, hey, we're not falling for this, groypers. If you say we're not falling for this, groypers, then you're dethroning Christ. But no decree can erase his kingship. No censorship can stop his reign. Say it boldly. Say it unapologetically. Say, Christ is king and we are the groypers and we're here to destroy the Jews. Alhamdulillah. If it is illegal to say Christ is king, Christians must say it even louder. You see, now it's illegal to say Christ is king. You heard it here. And look at it. Anyone who tweets this stuff is getting like 8,300 likes, 3,800 likes. Then you had Seth Dillon here, and we read this earlier. Seth was responding to that Jack dude. Speaking of the controversial phrase, Christ is king, the president of Poland and our bishops have officially recognized Jesus Christ as king in Poland, and we're not going to apologize for it. You have all these people, all these Jews saying we must apologize for saying Christ is king. Even though we can't find any of the Jews who are saying this, the Jews are saying almost nothing about this, but a couple of them have pointed out that it's the gropers who are using this and that maybe we shouldn't trust them. Shame on them. They're trying to force us to deny Christ. Okay. So that's what's going on Twitter if you just search for the phrase Christ is king. But let's get Candace Owens' recent couple of takes here. Let's see, and we'll have, where is Candace? Here she is. So Candace, these are just her recent tweets. Some of them will be about this. Some of them will be on other issues. So Candace Owens says the ADL dedicates a page on their website to their partnership with NCRI to produce reports on online extremism. They orchestrated the Christ is King Lent attack. So Guys, who orchestrated the Christ is King Lent attack? Looks like the ADL or the NCRI. Yeah, it's the Jews. Jordan Peterson, many are respectfully asking why you partnered with ADL on this. You got that? It's the Jews. The ADL is one of the most openly bigoted organizations against Christians, and they are enemies of free speech. You built your brand on the latter. I think it's fair for us to ask how you were folded into this attack. Thank you for your consideration. And Candace says, it would also go a long way.
Christians. I mean, you can say lots of things about the ADL, but I really wonder where that comes from. Weird.
If it would also go a long way if you could let us know if you were paid to put your name on this paper. Did this just come down to money, or were you actively involved in the production of this research? So you catch that, AP? The Jews paid Jordan Peterson to have his name on this because ordinarily, Jordan Peterson would love going along with the Groypers. I mean, one thing we know about Jordan Peterson, he just loves going along with the Groypers, and he loves people blasting away Jews. And so if you see his name on a paper, he must be getting paid. Yeah. He must be getting paid. And here you have National Contagion Research Institute. It's a far-left group trying to cancel Christ is King. It was founded by former ADL staffer and included in George Soros' Open Society Foundation as an affiliate. Guys, look at what they're saying. This is by Jews. This is by Jews. If the report is saying something that's false, then just show what they're saying that is false. It's pretty straightforward, right? If they're making false claims or if they're misrepresenting something, then say that. Right now, what you're saying is the Jews. Here's Sinovich. Did Jordan think people wouldn't find the link between the ADL and his research? Quotation marks. And he could play dumb? Folks go at Candace all day. I stay out it. Cernovich.
Pretty sure that he didn't have any concerns about that at all. So, because that's not the point.
Mm-hmm. People say stuff about me. I don't care about that. What happened yesterday was part of bigger censorship agenda. Yes. By pointing out how Groypers are using Christ is King. This is the agenda of the Jews.
You see, we are so smart. We found out that this is connected to Jews. They tried to hide it, you see. These imbeciles.
And Candace Owens, who... This is kind of a boy who cried wolf situation, Candace. So now she's defending Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein gives me a shout out from prison regarding my objective look into his case. Okay, Candace, you're the same person who did an objective look into the Tate case, and everything you said about it was wrong. And you sat there and lied and said, oh, everything's from over 10 years ago, when it wasn't. Okay, and now you did an objective look into the Harvey Weinstein case. Objective, right? Now keep in mind, for all I know, you did finally do an objective look into the case, and maybe he was completely railroaded and he should be completely exonerated. The point is, because of your actions in the past, because you're a chronic compulsive liar, and you always, I never said that, and it's like obvious that you said it, and then, oh, Tate never did anything. Oh, he's being railroaded. I can't take anything you say seriously. You've destroyed your credibility for anyone who is not in your little cult.
Here is Richard Kyle saying ADL was created to defend a Jew who raped a girl in Deep South USA. That's not what happened, Mr. Richard Kyle. And when you run with something like that, you only discredit yourself. You can have I think that the ADL did so much ridiculously stupid stuff, including fighting for censorship and Islamophobia online, which is like, well, why would you do something dumb as that? But the ADL, the case you're referring to, Leo Frank, the ADL was founded and was started in order to make the case that this guy, without being properly analyzed, without being given a proper fair trial, was sentenced and then lynched. Later on, his sentencing was overturned because it was concluded that there was never enough evidence to actually convict this guy. On the contrary, much of the evidence points at him being framed falsely. So that is what the ADL is actually about. You are just misrepresenting this and thereby just discrediting yourself from the very beginning. And of course, you can just dismiss everything I said and say, "No, I don't believe you. You're probably a Jew. I only believe what my God Nick Fuentes says." Go ahead, do that. You could do that. Just don't pretend to be a serious and honest person.
Good point. And keep in mind, guys, I'm no fan of the ADL. They do seem to be blasting away at things for a political agenda and so on, quite frequently and so on. However, the organization that actually put this, if they're wrong, say where they're wrong. It's just straightforward. It's just straightforward statistics. Here's how this phrase is now used. Here's who used it. Here's who it took off most with, and here's what it has become most closely associated with: attacks on Jews. If they have made an error in their research, expose the error. But right now what you're doing is saying, but this organization we found a connection between this organization and that organization is Jews. It's Jews and extreme leftist Jews, so we're not going to fall for this stuff. Well, I mean, one, how are they wrong? I mean, if you're saying this is a slogan that was picked up by a bunch of groypers, they're saying exactly what Nick Fuentes is saying. Is he making it up? Is he making it up? Are the groypers making up how they're the ones who used this phrase and used it for a political agenda? Are they making it up? Because that's what the report is saying. So, in other words, saying I really, really, really can't stand this group and I don't trust anything that is attached to Jews in any way or to leftists in any way and so on, blah, 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 blah. Okay, then show that they're wrong. Do that. Don't just say, oh, there's Jews involved, can't trust them. Multiple groups are saying the exact same. And the organization that had Jordan Peterson as one of the researchers, they're basically saying the same thing Nick Fuentes said about how this is being used. Or are they just making it up? I don't know. Because it sounds like what you're saying is they're Jews and we know listen to Jews. That's what it sounds like you're saying. All right, let's check out just a couple more from Candace just to see what she's been saying since yesterday when all this started breaking. So she's got her full episode here, and you can see that show was about this study. And then, oh, look who she's reposting, Jack Poso. They want to make saying Christ is King hate speech. We will not submit. Christ is King. We're the brave defenders of free speech, as long as it is groyper speech. And she keeps retweeting Jack Poso. The Longhouse attempt has backfired and revealed much about the woke light. We are not going to be woke scolded into submission. Now more are proclaiming it than ever. Christ is King. More who? More gropers and useful idiots who go, what? They're telling us not to say Christ is King. We will say it. Yay. See how base we are agreeing with the groypers and Candace Owens? Candace says, thank you, Mary Archived and Timcast, for correctly pointing out on your show last night that I never trolled anyone with the phrase Christ is King. Yes, they use empty bot accounts to justify their absurd narrative that the phrase has been hijacked. Did Timcast agree that Candace didn't use that in her response to Ben Shapiro? Because that would make Timcast pretty sloppy there, because we all looked at it. Candace says he was wrongly... Oh, this is about Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein was wrongfully convicted. I am convinced. She's also convinced that the Tates are completely innocent. Anyone who thinks that's a wild statement should begin diving into our series. Sorry, Candace, don't trust you at all. Let's see. Anything else from Christ is King? Yesterday was a good day. Even the usual Christian Zionists did not take the bait and recognize what happened yesterday was a random and explicit attack on our faith, dressed up as an academic report and conducted by people who do not believe in Jesus Christ. You see this? These tactics of trying to divide Christians between good little Christians and bad Christians are reminiscent of the psychological tactics deployed on American slaves. Not 1 inch. Hashtag Christ is King. Y'all getting this? People are trying to divide you by attacking your conviction that Christ is King. It's the Jews. The Jews are doing it. The Jews are trying to divide you. It's not the groypers who explicitly said that they were using this to divide up to see who's on their side and who's not. Nope, it's not them. It's not them. It's the Jews. Y'all got that?
Mm-hmm.
Good. And let's see. Let me check out the Jordan Peterson here. All right. How you doing, AP?
Wait, hold on, nothing.
It's weird. You're trying to look like a dork, but you just keep looking cooler and cooler.
I know. I was trying to look funny, but then I realized it looks quite cool. So now I'm thinking I'm considering switching to this look permanently.
To be pretty dope and based.
Yeah.
And so we have Jordan Peterson's here saying, Candace Owens, at Real Candace Owens, a true pharisaical pretender. She vociferously proclaims her devotion to Christ for no other reason than to elevate her perceived status. Her outrage is designed not to shout the truth from the rooftops, build bridges, or make peace, but to subvert Christianity itself with its new force to her own purposes. She is literally using God's name in vain. There are few more unforgivable sins. So it's people. So he's saying she's doing exactly what the gropers are doing, using something to turn things to support herself. Well, the gropers are doing it to support their political agenda. Candace is doing it to support herself. And Candace says, thank you for re-upping the most crucial conversation about Christ as King almost exactly a year later and once again during the season of Lent. After a year of thoughtfulness, I want you to know that I will never stop declaring it. She's responding to Andrew Clavin there from the Daily Wire. Jordan Peterson said, finally, if she wasn't the worst of hypocrites, she would forswear the Tate brothers, but they draw attention, and for a pretender, all attention is good attention, even at the cost, say, of the pearl of great price.
But did you read the first tweet at all? I didn't get that. Did you read the first tweet?
What first tweet?
Are you reading all the tweets here? You're not reading all the tweets.
I'm scrolling through her tweets. What are you talking about?
You're not reading all of them.
Well, what did I not read? I started on this one and I scrolled down.
No, to click on that, tap on that, click on that, whatever you do. There are more tweets there underneath that, between this one and the one that you just read.
What, more replies?
Yeah, show more replies. There's more. There's a whole thread here. He said more about this.
He said more? What? Okay,
you're supposed to click on that tweet.
I can't click on it when it's on the screen. I can scroll down, but it's behind the screen that I'm reading it from. So if I want to click on something, I have to actually get out of it. And so this is all for you. Great, AP. Thanks for completely derailing.
I feel like we're live streaming in 1992.
No, I think this is why people have multiple screens so they can have stuff spaced out. Where I just have everything on the same little screen in front of me, and so I have stuff layered.
I have now one screen, two screen, three screen, and one little screen here in front of me. See?
Well,
still not enough.
Good for you. AP gets a cookie, everybody. AP gets a cookie. All right, so what do we have here? We have Jordan Peterson. So this was the tweet, Candace Owens, blah, blah, blah. And then AP saying, no, you must look at the follow-ups. Okay, yeah, we got more from Jordan Peterson.
Woe to you!
Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You are like whitewashed tombs, which appear beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and every kind of filth. Does that describe Candace accurately or not?
Kind of. She's not a scribe, you know.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's like, hey, you're pretending to be something that you're not. And this is actually perfect, right? She's pretending to be righteous. Everything she's doing is pretending, I'm the good guy, I'm the good guy, I'm the good guy. And you're being pure evil and deceptive and lying in order to demonize people, to stir up a mob against them. And you're defending you're defending Andrew Tate and Harvey Weinstein, everyone else. And then, I don't know, this is a pretty good description. It's a completely different context, but good description as far as being really evil and slimy, but pretending to be wonderful and righteous and holy and so on.
What I love about this is that, contrary to Candace and most people, he's actually using this in the proper sense, when he's quoting Jesus, who calls out the scribes and the Pharisees. When Jesus was doing that, he was not talking trash about the Jews. He was he was directly, harshly, brutally criticizing the authorities, the leaders, those who teach the law to the people. He wasn't attacking the Jews themselves. He was attacking the teachers in charge. And this is very common in Jewish history, where multiple biblical figures do the same thing again and again, calling those at the temple, calling those in charge hypocrites, and so on. So he's actually doing it the right way.
And it is extremely right. Why? Because if you look at what sort of people were on the receiving end of this kind of vicious criticism from Jesus, like just brutal criticism, just blasting away, calling them hypocrites, whitewashed tombs, appear beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and every kind of filth. It's like a graveyard. You watch the tomb, it's like, oh, it's so nice. Look at that beautiful tomb. Yeah, and inside it's full of bones and every kind of filth. Jesus directed this kind of criticism at hypocrites who are leading other people astray. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's not just you're being a hypocrite off on your own. That's one thing. You're being a hypocrite and you have massive influence over other people. Those are the people Jesus blasted like this. That's a perfect description of Candace. Hypocrite, lying hypocrite, pretending to be righteous, pretending to be great, totally slimy and evil, and has massive influence over other people. That's why Jesus blasted them. You're not just, it's not just you being bad on your own. You're influencing other people to share in your hypocrisy. And he blasts away at them publicly, right to their faces. But absolutely, like, really, really good application of this passage for someone like Candace. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they're full of greed and self-indulgence. You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. All this for the Machiavellians who dare to use what is good for their own vile purposes. Machiavellians, they use what is good for their own vile purposes. And Jordan says, finally, if she wasn't the worst of hypocrites, she would forswear the Tate brothers, but they draw attention, and for a pretender, all attention is good attention, even at the cost, say, of the pearl of great price. The idea here, ladies and gentlemen, is you're saying you're the good one, you're the righteous one, you're the wonderful one, you're the amazing one, everyone's persecuting you because you're so good. If you're really good, would you be like the leading defender of the Tate brothers? In other words, if there was any doubt about your true motivations, because keep in mind, Peterson is saying it's all about her. It's all about her. Whatever she can use to glorify and exalt herself and get more attention for herself, she'll do it. And thus she does it with the Tate brothers. And you can see it through the Tate brothers. If she was really the pillar of righteousness that she claims to be, would she have been defending the Tates? No, of course not. And then you've got Jordan Peterson, and Britta here says, Nick Fuentes says he was the first to use Christ as King in a political context. The purpose was to weed out Jews. Yeah, and that's the video we already checked out. So, what is wrong with you? That is not where your underwear go.
You're muted, man.
No one cares. What is wrong with you? That is not how to wear underwear. You understand that?
Oh, yes. Oh, you mean me? Okay. So I thought you were talking about Candace Owens still.
I know you're foreign, but that's not where underwear go. You see this? These Turkish guys show up and they're like, oh, yes, I'm supposed to wear underwear. You say I have to wear underwear. Well, here it's okay, fine, here it is. Shameful, shameful, shameful. All right. Take a couple super chats, and then we'll take a quick look. We'll take a quick look at the beginning of this study, just because they give the historical background of the Christ is King thing, and you could take a look at yourself. You could take a look at it and decide. You could decide if you think their problem is really Christ is King as a statement of faith, or if they just have a problem with the way the gropers are using it. Let's see. That fit would be so fire with the Diddy Grandpa hat combo AP. Also, David, do you think humans should be vegan to reduce unnecessary suffering?
No.
No. David, what's your opinion on Lent fasting, if any? I don't do Lent, but no, it's a good idea. Lent is a good idea. So it
is totally based.
Either full fasting, as a spiritual discipline, or cutting out certain things as a kind of fasting is a good thing. Just saying that you're fasting and gorging yourself with tons of food and eating way more than you normally eat, not good. Could telling a Jew that the Bible isn't about him be anti-Semitic? No, that part I wouldn't. If you're saying, hey, as a Christian, this isn't about you. I'm not getting what I'm allowed to do and not allowed to do from you. This isn't about you. That part I can say, it's just she's completely misrepresenting what he was saying. And then she used the groper chant against him and then denies that she did any of it. And it's just, okay, you're not a person I could trust. Love AP's. Oh, going back to what you were just saying, Justin, because you didn't say that what she did say was anti-Semitic. You said, could it be? Yes. I want to correct myself. It could be. I wouldn't accuse her of that because there are multiple interpretations of saying this. Just saying, hey, this isn't about you. That's fine. That's fine. You're saying, could it be? If she's saying, hey, Jew, this isn't about you, Jew. The Bible's not about you, Jew. You're old news. Yeah, it could be. But I wouldn't. That's the thing. I would give someone the benefit of the doubt and not accuse someone of something they might not be saying. It's what she's clearly saying that we have an issue with, especially when she lies about what she clearly says. Love AP's Purim costume. And did you see the Syrian Druze visiting Israel for the first time in years? A real tearjerker. No, did not see that. Did you see that? The Druze visiting Israel?
I did not see that.
Tried to convince them otherwise. Same with their Tate fantasy. That's why I go to church, but I'm not religious. What was that a response to? Them. I don't see. Oh, going back to what you said earlier. A lot of people in my friend circle say, oh, this is the one who said a lot of his people think that the Germans losing was bad. And he says he's trying to convince people. Same with their Tate fantasy. It is, guys. It's, again, people are going to become loyal to groups, and then whatever the group says they have to roll with, even if they're saying the most insane, deranged nonsense ever. I just had a long-time Muslim friend ask me about the Quran, about the verses in the Quran that talk about killing Jews, and I needed to come ask the experts. Verses in the Quran, to be clear, verses in the Quran, you have things like Jews and Christians are the worst of creatures. You have Jews are the most vehement in hostility towards the believers. You have fight those who do not believe in Allah, and it specifically refers to the people of the book, that's Jews and Christians. The passage is clearly talking about like wiping out Jews. That's from the Hadith, but that is from Muhammad. So Sunni Muslims would take that as authoritative from Muhammad. So what you have is the Quran encourages hostility towards Jews, claims that Jews are the worst of creatures, along with Christians and mushrikun, and commands to fight the Jews. And the justification for fighting the Jews, Surah 929 says fight Jews. The justification comes in the next verse. It's because Jews call Ezra the son of Allah.
Powerful.
But in the Hadith, that's where you have the commands to eventually just completely exterminate them.
Oh no, my hair's showing.
Yeah. It's going to give everyone a boner without your hijab. And then follow-up says, also, David, a few months ago, our pastor used you and Nabil's story in a sermon, and I could not stop smiling. Love both of you. Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
What would be the Christian action to stop or prevent mass murders in Syria? Are there some good sources about war and Christianity? You have any thoughts on this since you are almost a Christian?
No.
As far as Christian action, so if you're talking about like we're in the United States, What can we do about Syria and so on? So one, you have to figure out what actually is happening, and that's difficult to do in this situation because lots of people who are talking about what's happening have an agenda, and so they can inflate numbers, they can deflate numbers. It's hard to get accurate information on exactly what's going on as it's happening. Matter of fact, over and over again, you'll see things like someone will post a video and say, "Look what just happened," and it's like 5 hours later it gets reported. This is actually a video from 7 years ago in a completely different country and stuff. So it's easy for people to spread lots of misinformation right now. So you have one, you want to get accurate information. Two, you would, once you have accurate information, you would want to make sure as many people as possible have that accurate information so that people know what's going on and can decide what, if anything, they can do about it. But I would say certain things like, I think it's Acts chapter 25. Acts 25. You have some of Paul's Jewish enemies among the leaders are trying to want to execute him and so on. And the new Roman leader in the area wants to get in good with the Jewish leaders, so he wants to hand over Paul to them, so that they, knowing that they're planning to not execute him, they're just going to assassinate him along the way. So he knows they're going to do this, and he wants to help them to get in good favor with them. And the Apostle Paul says to the Roman leader, Festus, he says, "If I've done anything that deserves death, I don't hesitate to die. But if I haven't, no one has a right to hand me over to them." And he says, "I appeal to Caesar." Notice what Paul said, right? He's talking about basic human rights. He's saying, if I've done something that requires a death sentence, sentence me to death. If I haven't, you cannot hand me over. You have no right to hand me over to people who want to kill me for something I haven't done. And he says, "I appeal to Caesar." What is he saying there? Now, keep in mind, this doesn't actually work out because the Roman government is corrupt and so on. He's still called on his government to protect him and to protect his rights. And therefore, we can say, as Christians, we have every right to call on our governments and to demand that doesn't mean our governments are going to listen. The Roman government didn't. I mean, in that particular situation, they did. They didn't hand him over and so on. But Paul is ultimately executed by the Romans. So it doesn't mean the government is going to do what you say. But as a Christian, you can say to your government, you are here to do the right thing and to protect people from harm and so on. And so you can say, here's what you need to do to stop this from happening. So those would be the basic steps. Apart from that, there's not a lot as individuals we can do. As far as like I can't go over there and stop anything from happening. What can I do? I can inform people. I can get accurate information. I can inform people, and then people can call on their governments to do something. Christ is King is another way of saying Christ consciousness, which is New Age. Well, it can be. It doesn't have to be. Special space in hell for groypers. Shalom to all. Love you, David and AP. Best Christian content on YouTube. Wow, and AP's not even quite a Christian yet, and he's got the best Christian content on YouTube. Please pray for Ukraine and Israel.
There was this meme which I saw several times now that people post in response to groypers, which shows people burning in hell, and then it's just a speech bubble that says, "But I was based."
That is funny. We say AP is Christian now. Base Diddy boy. Base Diddy boy. Why is AP a fashion demon? Yeah, why are you a fashion demon? If Allah is great, if Allah is great, then Christ is King. AP, why did your wife become an atheist, and why she ex-atheist orth now? Oh, also, did your wife ever went vegan or vegetarian anytime? He always has to steer it towards veganism somehow.
Yes, and no, and no.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. Let's see. Brian Smuti says Matthew 12, 30, 31, and 32.
Matthew 12, 30, 31, and 32. What is it? What is that?
Here we go. Oh, this is whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters. Therefore I tell you, every sin and blasphemy will be forgiven people, but the blasphemy against the Spirit will not be forgiven. And whoever speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven, but whoever speaks against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, either in this age or the age to come. I would, the person who that applies to most seriously recently is Lily J. She's claiming that Muhammad is the Holy Spirit. That is some dangerous, dangerous territory, my friends. Candace Owens, can't trust this, can't trust this. My, music hits me so hard. Oh, hang on. Oh, can't trust this. Okay, this is to MC Hammer. Can't trust this. Can't trust this. My music hits me so hard. Makes me say, oh my Lord, thank you for blessing me with a griper mind that can't rhyme. The griper mind that can't rhyme. David, the whole thing, it's been politicized. Yes, it has. Dr. Wood has messed too much with AP's mind, you see. He's starting to wear head panties. This is from Tovia Singer's Bulldog. I admire both of you and love Jews, but come on. Come on with what? Oh, wait, we got to follow up.
You come on.
You know what the phrase means. I grew up in the faith and heard it growing up. I'm 27. Okay, yeah, and we know this did become a thing in like the Catholic Church. I never heard this as a common thing. Jesus is Lord, or Jesus Christ is Lord, or he is risen indeed. Those are the kinds of things I hear most frequently. Christ is King as a slogan, not so much, but it was more of a thing in the Catholic Church. That's not what we're talking about. Dude, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about how it was used 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We're talking about how it's being used by groypers and whether people should fall for this stunt. That's the issue. No, you should not let people take something and politicize it and use it as cover for a really massively screwed up political agenda. If you're saying no, David, you're wrong. A group of neo-Nazis should be able to, without question or objection, take a phrase and run around using it to attack Jews, and then when people respond and saying, "Hey, you're actually a bunch of neo-Nazi gropers here. We don't think you guys should be using this way." Then they'll say, "Aha! You see, the Jews are trying to stop us." Are you saying that's all great and legitimate? We should be fine with it?
Yes.
Because if so, I kind of don't care what you say. Festive maid. In other words, I wouldn't trust your wisdom or judgment. I wouldn't take you as an authority. I bet every Tate Cam girl is a paid member of Candace. Probably. I do actually wonder like that, because you could think, okay, her husband was friends with him, has been friends for years with him. We know that. So is she just defending him out of loyalty to her husband? Her husband saying, "Hey, defend this guy," or does she just really not have a problem with the sex trafficking or something like that? Or is she like, were they involved somehow? Was her husband involved? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But it is weird. AP, why would you show your hair again? It's haram. That's a good point.
To seduce everyone.
And here we have Happy Ramadan. His name was Salwan Momika. Yep, that was a base dude. That was a base dude. If you had 100 AP, if you had 100 Salwan Momikas in Europe, I think Islam would be cooked. It would be cooked.
Yes.
100 people with the balls to stand up in the face of danger, in the face of threats, and be ready to accept all consequences, even your own murder. 100 serious people like that would save Europe.
That guy had bigger balls than all jihadists and all British people combined. What's your problem with British people, man?
Well, where do I begin? It's basically the Mike Winger of countries right now. Okay, guys. Last thing, and we don't really need it, but since I mentioned it so frequently, we will just glance. We'll just glance at the beginning of this report, and then we'll wrap up and be done. Here we go. So this is the study that everyone flipped out about. We watched a short video. About it. But thy name in vain, how online extremists hijack Christ as king. And here it gets pointed out. You got Dr. Lee Jussim, principal investigator, Jordan B. Peterson, Reverend Dr. Johnny Moore. Aha! Dr. Joel Finkelstein. What?
This is where people start having a problem. Now, the first three are okay, especially number 3 seems okay. Number 2 seems okay, although affiliations. But then after that, you have a bunch of, what is this?
Look at this!
Jewish names!
Joel Finkelstein! Jacob, what is this? It's Jacob, it's like it's the father of the 12 tribes. Done at Sarah Finkelstein. Another, how many Finkelsteins did they have? Sonia Yanovsky, come on. Alex Goldenberg, come on. Ohad Fadida. Gideon, seriously? Are you kidding me? Gideon McGoldstein McBurg. Simon Lazarus? Oh, come on. Simon Lazarus? You just make up the most Jewish names ever? And then what is this? Anisha Jagdeep and Ankita Jagdeep. Don't know about that. All right, let's go ahead and check it out right here.
So the funny thing that you have here is that you have a major Christian organization, a major evangelical Christian organization. Then you have Jordan Peterson, you have a reverend, part of that Christian organization, you have Christians, and then you have a bunch of Jewish participants helping out in the study. And then they're like, oh, you see, why are there Jewish names on here? It's quite clear who is behind this. It's so ridiculous. Apparently, in order to counter these accusations and please the gropers, you would have to make sure that you hire only Christians, or sorry, non-Jews.
Yeah.
As part of research, even if the Jewish members are simply part of researching on a general basis. No, you cannot hire Jews for this. You cannot have Jewish names on here. You have to have only non-Jewish names on here. So stupid, man.
Yeah, it is insane. So you've got this big issue. Hey, these guys seem to be using this in just as a way of attacking Jews, and they're duping Christians. It's like, okay, but no Jew is allowed to have anything to do with any research. Why is that? Why are Jews not allowed to have be involved in research? Let's just go ahead and read this. Read the beginning here for what they're saying. So, introduction: freedom of religion has long been at the foundation of American progress, fostering innovation, cultural vitality, and a moral framework that has guided the nation's institutions. America's founders wisely enshrined this value in the first clause of the first sentence of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Recent data suggests that there has been an encouraging trend, reversal, in the long declining influence of Christianity in the United States. Wait a minute. These are the people who are trying to attack Christianity and trying to destroy it, right? They're saying there's an encouraging... Guess what, guys? You have a lot of Jews who want who want the sort of reverse the trend in the decline of Christianity in the West, because they've seen what the decline of Christianity leads to.
You know what's funny? What this actually reminds me of? I read a book that I have with me here that I had on my side actually until I got rid of all my books and put them somewhere else, which is about the still spiritual leader but head of the global Jewish movement Chabad, which is very, very prominent, very well known. Very spiritual and very, 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 very active in keeping up Jewish practices and so on. Mm-hmm. Candace, actually, funnily enough, was one of the people who attacked him, Menachem Mendel Schneerson, who is also known as the Rebbe.
Sounds very Jewish.
I read the book about him, which is authorized by him, and which is written by one of the adherents or by a son of one of the main adherents and helpers of the organization. In the book, he actually mentions on several occasions how the Rebbe himself, the great rabbi, um, on many occasions expressed how pleasing and how good it is that America is foremost a Christian nation, and that it is not a nation led by godlessness and non-religiousness, and that the fact that it is a Christian nation gives it Christian and by extension also religious values influenced and inspired by God that make things better for Christians and non-Christians alike, and so on, and that we should thank God for giving us such a nation to live in. So this is directly found in the book that the Jews around the world read to get closer to the rabbi and his life. He's telling there to millions of Jews around the world, to thousands of Jews around the world, that it's good that America is a Christian nation.
And you see this among lots of important Jewish leaders. Ben Shapiro, what does he say? Christians, get to church. We need a revival. Really, really need a revival. Dennis Prager, just watched a Dennis Prager interview. He says he judges a religion. So he's an Orthodox Jew. He's a fan of Christianity. He says he judges a religion based on whether it makes people good. So I know every Christian's going, no, we judge it by whether it ultimately leads to salvation or something like that. He's saying as an Orthodox Jew, he is happy if your religion makes people better and more moral and encourages the flourishing of human beings and making of good societies and stuff. If your religion does, he likes your religion. He's totally a fan of your religion. And so with that, he says he likes Christianity and he encourages more Christianity. And so it's just interesting. It sounds like this is doing the same thing. Recent data suggests that there has been an encouraging trend reversal in the long declining influence of Christianity in the United States, signaling the potential for constructive renewal of Christian thought in public life. Wow, these guys want a renewal of Christian thought in public life? I thought they're trying to destroy it. This encouraging resurgence is being met with a challenge: the co-optation of Christian language and symbols by small vocal groups of extremist actors who seek to redefine religious identity for ideological ends. That sounds exactly like what's happening, AP. It sounds like you have a bunch of people who are realizing we need like a revival in the West. We need it. And lots of people are thinking it's good. Lots of people I made a video about this very recently, but the studies have shown that for a long time, Christianity was declining in the West. And for the past few years, it's actually been increasing. The number of people who identify as Christian are increasing over the past few years. And so that's part of it. People are realizing it. And what happens when people are realizing, wow, we need a resurgence of Christian faith? There are going to be people who use that to their advantage. And that's what the Groypers are doing. And this is calling them, I haven't seen one word here that sounds anything like what Candace is saying about this. This report focuses on the phrase Christ is King, a profound declaration of faith, which is now being weaponized by some political extremists. So Nick Fuentes, yes, political extremists, distorting its meaning and advancing exclusionary and hateful narratives. That's exactly what they're doing. This hijacking of religious language echoes a broader pattern observed in the past decade where identitarian ideologies, whether in the form of radical DEI initiatives or the excesses of woke moral policing, have restructured institutions by imposing rigid ideological conformity under the guise of moral progress. Did you catch that? They're restructuring institutions by imposing rigid ideological conformity under the guise of moral progress. What was Candace doing? What are the Groypers doing? You have to agree with us completely, or what did Candace do? If you're not with her and the Groypers screaming Christ is King, then you're bad and Jesus is going to reject you. Ideological conformity under the guise of moral progress. Just as these movements leveraged moral identity to enforce social control in academia and the corporate world, extremist factions now exploit religious identity to try and reshape public discourse, sow division, and erode the spirit of religious renewal that defines American democracy. Do these guys sound like they're anti-Christian and don't want Christianity and want Christians to shut up? It sounds like they want Christians more vocal and more a part of public life and government and everything. That sounds like what they're saying. And they're saying, but other people are taking advantage of this to turn things to their own sick ideology. That's exactly what's happening. What are they saying here that is remotely incorrect? And why are people like Candace in the Great? Oh, you see, they're trying to destroy Christianity, make us silent. If left unchecked, this ideological corruption risks tainting an apparent revival of Christian thought. They want a revival of Christian thought. And they don't want people like Nick Fuentes and Candace derailing the revival of Christian thought, replacing a constructive and genuine return to faith by many with a polarized and weaponized moral framework by a few. Protecting the integrity of this resurgence requires distinguishing between sincere religious sentiments and the instrumentalization of faith by extremists to sow division and spread. This is exactly correct. You have to distinguish between people who are saying things sincerely because of their sincere religious sentiment and people who are using this as a tool for their own agenda. How is this remotely objectionable? And so what do we have here? It's just a summary of what they find. So extremists hijack a religious affirmation. The phrase Christ is King has been systematically co-opted by extremist figures, with mentions of the phrase on X alone increasing more than fivefold between 2021 and 2024. Nazis, Nazi sympathizers, and Muslim masculinity influencers converge as the top Christ is King disseminators. In 2024, more than 50% of all engagements around Christ is King posts were driven by extremists and fringe influencers. So half are coming from the weirdos. Posts by Nick Fuentes, Sneeko, and Andrew Tate. So a wannabe neo-Nazi and two Muslims achieved over 13.6 million views and more than 100,000 engagements during Easter 2024 alone. Most engaged posts come from hateful influencers. The top influencers on X in 2024 included extremists like Nazi sympathizer Candace Owens, Muslim masculinity influencer Sneeko, and Holocaust denier Jake Shields, who collectively drove a 7-fold increase in total engagements compared to the 2021 influencer cohort, which featured mostly moderate Christian voices.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So in other words, it used to come from moderate Christian voices. Then it was hijacked by people like Sneeko and Andrew Tate.
Actually very, very might seem like a minor thing here, but it's actually very important to the idea of the research in question here, which is quite clearly that the phrase itself is never ever deemed to be hateful or unacceptable or anti-Semitic at all. On the contrary, the research makes it also points it out that the phrase itself was used in a normal, moderate sense, but that later on these ill-intentioned people come and hijack the phrase. That's what they do.
Yeah. And what's this report doing? It's just warning people about what's going on. It's saying, hey, look how they have taken this. Look how they have taken this slogan and are twisting it to manipulate people. Why would you not want to warn people about that? Like, why? So proliferation of hate speech. Post flagged through machine learning as hateful rose from 9% in 2021 to nearly double with a peak of 17.3% in May 2024, underscoring the semantic shift of the phrase towards a tool of extremist propaganda. Mainstreaming through Google searches. Google Trends data confirms the normalization of Christ as King, with search interest spiking a new maximum in March 2024, a 400% increase from its baseline in the previous decade. Seasonal spikes, once confined to Christmas and Easter. In other words, there used to be just seasonal spikes around Christmas and Easter saying Christ is King, but now they coincide with extremist-driven chatter. So now the spikes coincide with Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens or someone saying something. Semantic corruption evident in topic analysis. Anti-Semitic associations pairing the term Jew with Christ as King rose sharply, with Jews becoming the single largest associated topic for the phrase in 2024, as revealed by language models. And nearly 10% of all posts mentioning Christ is king during its historic chatter peak in April 2024 included anti-Semitic content, significantly outpacing mentions of other minority groups, which remained below 2 to 3.5%. All right, and here we just have this little intro here on how it was used in the Catholic Church. So history
Sounds
of Christ
like a
King.
nerdy, inspiring philosophy stream.
Yeah. That's what it is. Well, we're reading a study, and that's always inspiring philosophy stuff. Let's just get the background here, and then the phrase Christ is King itself has deep theological roots in the Christian, but especially Catholic tradition, deriving from various New Testament sources, which scripturally enshrine Christ's divine authority and kingship. Its mainstream resurgence began in 1925, when Pope Pius XI instituted the Feast of Christ the King as a response to the rise of ideologies like nationalism and communism that threatened to undermine the central role of Christianity in the West. Until very recently, the phrase has been used almost exclusively in liturgy, hymns, and devotional practices of the faithful to inspire fidelity to Christ's teachings, and to emphasize his role. They even capitalize his there. Just capitalized his role as the ultimate moral and spiritual guide. This sound like a bunch of anti-Christians who hate Christianity, guys. Read that sentence again. Until very recently, the phrase has been used almost exclusively in liturgy, hymns, and devotional practices of the faithful to inspire fidelity to Christ's teachings and to emphasize his role as the ultimate moral and spiritual guide for humanity. Today, however, a century after the Feast of Christ the King was instituted, extremists in America have begun distorting the meaning of the phrase and leveraging it as a coded symbol for their Machiavellian political aims. Rather than serving as a shield for the faithful against these forces, Christ is King has become cynically weaponized to shield extremists who look to destabilize American politics, inflame tensions within civil society, and encouraging hatred towards minorities. Guys, have you seen one word against Christianity and all this? Like one thought? Like, even if you want to say, they're just trying to trick us, where are you getting that from? So anyway, guys, we could continue reading and so on, but you can read this on your own. It's a 21-page report. I just wanted to show you what people are flipping out about and saying they're trying to destroy Christianity, they're trying to silence Christians and so on. The report is about how it's great if there's a resurgence of Christianity and Christian influence and Christian thought, but you have people who are basically spiritually hungry, and you have a bunch of idiots who are jumping in there and taking advantage of them. And they're saying, hey, don't let them take advantage of you. Don't let them take Christ is King and use that as a shield for a bunch of neo-Nazis to destabilize the country. Like, you see. And then you've got Candace losing her mind. And you see, it's all the Jews trying to destroy Christianity, you see. Well. All right, we'll take these last couple super chats. We'll be out, ladies and gentlemen. From John the Presbyter, good charities for persecuted Christians. There's a couple. So Open Doors, check out Open Doors. Voice of the Martyrs, and the Barnabas Fund. All those, there may be more, but those are ones I've been familiar with over the years. Jay Dyer seems pro Christ is King. Retweeted Jack Poso. I'm not listening to that guy anymore. Is he an orthobro?
Jay Dyer said a lot of different things in the past that I thought were really, really crazy, messed up stuff, but I don't really make my judgment based on just one or two things.
Yeah, but, nor do I. In fact, we've said repeatedly, you could be a Christian and just be watching and saying, what? People are flipping out over Christ is King? Heck with that. No, Christ is King. Christ is King. It's very easy.
Christ is King. Christ is King.
Yeah. If you're informed and you know there's a griper thing and you're like, you know what, these gripers are right. We need to be blasting away at these Jews here. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't trust you too much after that either. AP, should Ukraine trust anything? Assuming he means Erdogan here. No, I agree. I would not trust that dude on anything. But yeah, you're the expert.
Trust who? Trust
Should you
anything.
trust Erdogan?
I was just saying Ukraine just shouldn't trust anything, but shouldn't trust anything Erdogan promises. No, definitely no. Should they trust Turkey against Russia, or are they secret allies? Nobody should trust Turkey on anything. Nobody should trust Erdogan on anything. I don't think there's. You just shouldn't. You just shouldn't. You just should not do that.
Shout out to Bill Galactica for gifting 5 Apologetics Roadshow memberships.
And shout out to my boy Zelensky.
Yeah. Tarun in Bible, God created all creatures vegan. So Prince of Egypt is the story of Moses. Great movie. Oh yeah. Doesn't mean
I know.
Doesn't mean we're gonna watch it.
But it's still a cartoon.
Yeah, it's a cartoon. Since you guys are both Christian now, I want to know your thoughts on my theory. Do you think it's the end times? 1, one world language connecting all people equals the internet. 2, Christians make Trump look like the anti-cross. No, my position is I have no idea. Again, you can say, oh, look, this lines up with these signs of the end times. People in the 1800s were saying the same thing. So the end could come within our lifetimes. The end could come 10,000 years from now. We have our marching orders, so I say we follow our marching orders and leave the rest to God.
I think when I was a Muslim, there are 2 things that I was never really greatly concerned with that other people were always lovingly very, very much concerned with, and those were eschatology and miracles. And I think it wouldn't really change even if I changed my beliefs. I still don't. I still am not very concerned with those things.
Yeah, again, my interest in the end times is mainly. I'm not saying it's not important that other people shouldn't be interested. I'm saying we all have a limited amount of time. We have to focus on. If you want to do something well, you got to kind of focus on a couple of things. And so I focused on other things. But David, what's your takeaway from the Book of Revelation? We win. Jesus wins. Have you all heard about?
You need to do this. You need to do this.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Have you heard of Alat, Alus, and Manat III? Yes. I've heard that they are the exalted cranes whose intercession is to be hoped for. Muslim masculinity influencers. I liked that too. I like their descriptions. Has AP considered becoming a secular humanist? A little late for that, Budrow. A little late for that, brother. Brother. Yeah, you had a lot of secular humanists. How'd they do standing up against Islam? Did a pretty crap job. I'll say that. Phrases like Christ is, we've talked about this a ton in the past, but basically you have things that work in people's minds. Like I can imagine a world where everyone just walks around loving each other at all times and hugging, and everyone is completely generous and what. So let's just be like that. Okay. Just because that worked in your head does not mean that somehow just that's how the world is going to work. Communism. There are variations of communism where if you looked at them on paper, you'd say, that's a good idea. Guess what? It doesn't work. It never has worked. It's never come within 1 trillion miles of working. It has a massive misunderstanding of human nature built into it, and it will never work. So, it's actually in that category. Phrases like Christ is King and Black Lives Matter have the same intentions. Both are true, but extremists use language and phrases that prop them up and make it hard for normies to argue with them. That's exactly what's going on. And as far as people like taking a stand on this issue and saying, do not let these guys get away with that, you think, okay, what are they doing? They're saying Christ is King. Here's the thing, guys. If they do it with this, they're going to do it with another thing and another thing and another thing until they've co-opted everything in Christianity as part of a neo-Nazi agenda. There are certain things you just, nope, do not do this. And yes, we will take our stand. And yes, we don't care if you moan and wail and complain about it. We got to stand against this nonsense. So yes, you are correct, Rick. We have Isa Kabir. So glad to see your work against anti-Semitism. You too,
Peace.
Isa. We should get Isa on here pretty soon. Has AP considered becoming a seat of vacantist?
It's a very weird position to have. I looked into it a little bit.
What the heck is that?
I'm not sure if this is a real question. It was a seat of vacantists are traditionalist Catholics who
Oh, okay.
who claim that that the seat of the Vatican is empty since
Since some particular pope?
since one of those popes, and they consider all other popes not just heretical but basically non-existent, so that they're all invalid popes, and that there has not been a pope since then. But it's kind of a weirdly incoherent idea, and it's like it's even unacceptable to Orthodox Christians, you know. like the Orthodox Christians not even accept that there is no pope. They just consider the pope not following the proper teachings, but they wouldn't say that the seat is empty, for example.
So here's AP educating me on various Catholic groups. Interesting.
Powerful.
And we have finally GoatHub here says, has AP considered becoming a Scientologist? And funny, everyone's like, has AP considered this? Has AP considered that?
I'm going to my first service as Scientologist.
Yeah, you should if you want to become a Hollywood actor. It really helps. It really helps. It is kind of funny. It's like understood that you've got, huh?
I don't even know if they have services or anything.
Yeah. Yes, they all get together and celebrate Xenu. I don't know what they do. All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow on your channel, right, AP?
That is true. We shall be back tomorrow on my channel. That's right.
Any idea yet or not?
I think we might discuss something like Andrew Tate or something like that.
It would be good, just because, I mean, we already shared all our thoughts on Andrew Tate back in the day, but he has been trending recently, so we might need to make fun of him and recap some of that, because more and more stuff came out, and thanks to, hats off to Milk Bar TV and Murdered by Crayons for continuing to sift through the old videos and use them to respond to the ongoing, never-ending lies of the Tate crew. But yeah, lots more has happened since we covered Tate in the past as far as lies and those lies being exposed. So it'd be a good idea to revisit that one for a show.
You see, this is the book that I was talking about earlier, which is written by a very Jewish-sounding guy, Joseph Telushkin, about the Rebbe Menachem.
Wait a minute, that looks like a Jew!
See? And there's actually, I mean, one of the things that I'm very happy that I did over the last few years was to just go to the sources themselves and directly inform myself on these things, rather than listen to, weirdos online who just claim to know everything about others. And in here, for example, I found lots of from the main guy, the most important rabbi of today's time, so much praise for America, for America's religiosity, for Christians, for America being a Christian nation, and so on, which is very surprising. Gropers are not going to read anything. But if anyone,
Gropers of the world!
But if anyone thinks that Candace Owens and people like her actually tell the truth about Jews, I would suggest going and reading what Jews themselves say. This is a book specifically written for followers of this rabbi who want to get closer to understanding him and so on. And right in there, you see lots of praises for Christian American society and Christian American government and so on. So, things are much better than these people make it look like.
It is that I've said before that if I were an Orthodox Jew, and I thought, you asked what do you think about Christianity or something like that. Even if I rejected Jesus and so on, for myself or for Orthodox Jews or something like that, I would still have to consider that as like part of the fulfillment of prophecies about Israel being the Jews being a light to the world and so on. It's like still like who did that? And I've seen Jews point that out. It's like who brought these teachings about God creating man in His image and so on? Who brought these to the world? It was Christians who were influenced by Jesus and so on. So I would have to have you could obviously look at like persecution down through the centuries and say, oh, this is really like messed up stuff and so on. But as far as changing the world for the good, I'd be like, follow Jesus' teachings. That's good. That's good stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow on AP channel. Looks like there's one more super chat.
Here's one fun guy who says the Jews, they're not Jews. Jews were just those of Judah. I would suggest you read the book of...
How many times do we have to deal with the same thing? Go ahead.
I suggest you read the book of Esther. In the book of Esther, you will find something very, very interesting. According to the history of the usage of the word, according to the Bible scholars, I mean, why don't you look this up? Why don't you study this?
This is basic stuff. Yes, we know the origin and the derivation of the word, and first it's how it. We
Look,
know all this, man. Bring up the same stupid, idiotic stuff that we've been through 1,000 times before. What?
I'm going to read you a passage right here from the book of Esther.
You brought this on yourself, bud.
Book of Esther 4. I think this is where it was.
It's Old Testament. Shout out to Jack Ray for gifting 5.
Esther 4. Esther 4. I think this is where it was. Is this where it was? I gotta find the phrase where it was. Jew.
There were no Jews till after World War II.
Was it in Esther 1? Gotta look that up quickly. Jew. No, was it Esther 2? Esther 2. Gotta find that phrase quickly. Oh yeah, here, right there. So Esther 2, verse 5. Now, very carefully pay attention to what it says here. You can open the Bible for yourself.
No, you can't.
Take a Bible. Take a Bible.
Don't do it.
I have a Bible right here. Take a Bible. Open it up. To Esther 2, 5. It says there, word for word, now there was in the citadel of Susa a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin.
No, wait, there weren't any Jews then. Stop lying.
Named Mordecai, son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish. So, a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin. Weird. Isn't this supposed to be just a term for according to you, to people from the tribe of Judah, just from the region of Judah or anything? No. Here, for the first time in the Bible, it appears as a general term, as a general name used for anyone that is from the tribes. And from this point on, chronologically speaking, from this point on, the term Jew comes to be used for basically anyone who shares the heritage and the beliefs and the tradition and so on. By the time of Jesus, because of that, anyone who is of the children of Israel is known as a Jew. That's it.
And so, my friend, what you've done, you've committed what's called the etymological fallacy. Gone to some original meaning of a word or something like that, and just ignored how the word actually developed and what it came to mean. And that's just, don't do that. Don't do that. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassingly terrible.
And if you say it's the Samaritan woman at the well didn't call herself a Jew, well, that's because the Samaritans were excluded from this because they excluded themselves and followed a different religion, their own religion. That's why. It's a very simple explanation.
And last couple comments here. Has AP considered whether the Vatican II sect is the prophesied end times counter church? This is funny, though, all these questions for a guy who's still in the process of converting.
Yes, I
think that's good. I don't even know if Grays is serious. I know some people are serious and some people are like interested. Hey, have you thought about this? And other people are like, hey, let me just shower this guy with questions and so on. I think that might become the ongoing joke. AP, what do you think about the Council of 1874 and paragraph 3 of that? What do you think about that?
You see,
we have there's a super sticker, character holding their head. I still don't know why they don't just show us the super stickers when I try to pull them up. Flaw in the system. And then we have Arctic Base. Did someone mention Tovia Singer? Yeah, you did. Every time you've ever joined us for a live stream. Tovia Singer. Singalings. The Singalings are trying to take over our shows. All right, guys. We'll catch you. We'll be back tomorrow. Catch y'all then.
Powerful.
Be based.